Greetings to all. Welcome to the lecture on simple interest, compound interest. So I guess everybody is doing good. Let's straight away get started with the lecture. And it's one of the simplest lecture. And the scope is high. Whatever the management entrance exam or whichever the entrance exam that you are writing in the space of aptitude, you would encounter one or two questions based on this particular topic, one for sure. And if you are lucky, maybe about two or three of them based on the exam that you are writing. So let's keep that in mind, and it's pretty simple technique. So therefore, let's explore what is this, what is the application of simple interest, application of compound interest, and what is the relationship for it. Now, finally, we'll try and explore what's the relationship between these two, and the kind of applications that are derived out of these topics. Right? Let's take a look at this. Let's get started on this note. Okay, it's a simple lecture. Keep in mind, I'll let one sure question for sure, and maybe if you are lucky, about two or three questions. So and also the other important thing here is 90% of the questions, that is 9 out of 10 questions asked on simple interest, compound interest in exam are actually easy to medium difficulty level. Rarely, already it's pretty rare that you encounter a difficult question on simple interest, compound interest, for a simple reason that the concept itself is simple. When the concept involved is simple, it's very difficult to create a very challenging question on a simple concept. Of course, it can be created, I'm not denying that fact. More so, you can create a lengthy question, but creating a difficult question on a simple concept is altogether very challenging. Therefore, you generally find of simpler questions on this particular topic. It's just that, okay, how quick I can do, what are the approaches that I know, how can I ensure that my calculations are in place and I can kind of do the things a little faster and better. Now, these are the objectives that we are going to explore through this particular lecture. Let's spend some time to understand these facts. Let's get started. Let's get started. Most of you would be knowing the definition and the understanding of simple interest for sure. I'll start with simple interest, maybe spend about 30-40 minutes on that. Then I'll spend some time on compound interest, again about 30 minutes on that. And then I will talk about the relationship in terms of relationship or the difference between the simple interest and compound interest. I talk implies that, okay, we look at the applications and the methods of solving based on these particular topics. That's what I meant by spending those 30 minutes or so. So fairly alright. Now these are the things that we cover in about 90 to 120 minutes of time. So here we go. Let's get started on this. Right, this fair agenda I just briefed you. So this solid, I have a simple slide here just to illustrate my point, what I meant by simple interest, solid, what I technically meant by the simple interest as a scheme. So assume that, okay, so you went to a bank and you deposited, and you went to a bank and you said that, okay, so you are depositing 1,000 rupees. Now let's take through all it now, what are the various stages already your money can go through, right? The principal is 1,000 rupees. Assume you went to a bank, you said that, look, my principal is 1,000 rupees. I'm not really getting into the definitions of what is principal, what is the rate of interest, what is the duration, whether you call it as T years or N years, because I'm pretty sure that, okay, because of those these are the words which are introduced in class 6 and 7, and already you are kind of already pretty comfortable with them, right? Pretty comfortable with them. In case you are not, you can put those kind of texts or the queries that you have in the Telegram group, already now Telegram group. I suggest, like, you kind of you kind of get you kind of register yourself onto our Telegram group, and then take part or be a part of the Telegram group and post your queries. If there is something, or not just the definitions, what I meant is, if there is a query that can be addressed through the course of the lecture or the post the lecture, in whichever way, or it can be used. So let's keep that in mind. So let's go in here. Let's get started here. So generally, principle, already assume that you went to a bank and you deposited money with them called 1,000 rupees, and this is the scheme. The promise is, I'm taking very nice numbers to start with. The scheme is, they said, okay, there is a 10% rate of interest, which means we give, because you kept the money with us, we will give an interest. Your money will earn already an interest of 10% per annum. So let's understand through the duration of 3 years how your money grows, what is the transformation your money goes through. Right now, you started off with 1,000 rupees. You started off with 1,000 rupees. Interest for the first year, 10% of 1,000, which is 100. This is the number. Okay, what is this number? This number is nothing but 10% of 1,000 rupees. That's nothing but 100 rupees. Great. If you want to withdraw, which means you decided that I'll just keep for 1 year and then I will withdraw it, and then the amount due at the end of the first year would have been 1,100. That's the amount to do, because you started off with 1,000. You kept it for about a year. It earned 100 rupees as an interest, therefore amount due is 1100. Assume you decided that no, I'm going to keep it for 2 years. I want to keep it for 2 years. The scheme is simple interest. If you keep it for 2 years, the interest for the second year is also going to be 1100 rupees. Interest for the first year and interest for the second year are going to be same. Reason being, your scheme is simple interest, right? Now, therefore, the interest earned through already interest earned for every single year, interest earned every single year is going to be same, be it the first year, be it the second year, every year it is going to be same. That is the key here, right? Yeah. So therefore, what is the amount at the end of the second year? If you want to withdraw, what is the due amount? Due amount is 1000 rupees. Then 100 is the interest earned for the first year, 100 is another interest earned for the second year. Therefore, you are saying that 1200 is the amount due. Let's explore till 3 years. What if I decided to keep it for 3 years? So again, the third year you are going to get the same interest. Okay, my point is pretty simple. What is that I'm trying to say? Interest earned interest earned remains equal every single year under the simple interest scheme. A lot of questions can be solved just by knowing this one fact. Interest remains constant every single year. That's one of the important points that we are making. Okay, so most of you would be knowing that how do I calculate the simple interest. Therefore, right now, how do I calculate the interest for a particular year? Interest for the first year. Let's say that only I want the simple interest for the first year. How do you calculate? You will say that, man, it is going to be R percent of what? R percent of what? Principal, right? That is what you are going to say. Interest for first year is going to be R percent of principal, because you have to calculate all it now. So for example, here, what did you calculate? R percent of principal. All right, now here, if you look at this, I'm underlining it. What did you calculate? 10% of 1000. I'm writing a general form, R percent of the principal. That's what you calculate as the interest for 1 year. What if you do it for n years? All right, I want the interest for n years. Interest for n years, nothing but the simple interest for n years. What do you calculate? You calculate R percentage of the principal is for 1 year. All right, R percentage of principal is for 1 year into what? All right, into n number of years. All right, into n number of years, because you said that, okay, I want this interest for n years. Sure, multiplied by n. All right, into n years. That becomes the interest for n years, right? Let's keep that in mind. Simple. Hey, what is the amount payable? If you want the amount, then add principal to the interest. You already calculated the interest here. Add principal to it. Add principal to it. Technically, it looks like this. Amount is equal to principal plus R percentage of principal into n years, right? So if you take the principal common, amount is equal to 1 plus, all right, 1 plus R percentage times of n. It's good to know all these forms. The amount form also you should remember. Only the interest form also you should remember. I expect that, okay, you remember both the forms, because we use it interchangeably based on the situation to gain the momentum and do the things faster. See, unlike other chapters that you've studied or you are going to study, there are not too many things to remember. Then how do you do justice to this particular chapter if you don't want to remember certain small things? You can't say that, hey, no, I will remember only interest portion, I will not remember the amount portion. Come on, you got to do some due justice to this particular chapter. You look at a chapter like profit loss, you get one question there. And you look at a chapter like simple interest, compound interest, you still get one question there. You look at a chapter like time and work, you get one question there. 1, 2, whatever is that number. What I'm saying is, the number of question contribution into the exam is more or less similar across these chapters, but the concepts are very, very few in simple interest, compound interest. So I rather suggest that, okay, you remember certain things so that you have the advantage of speed, right? Yeah. So with respect to simple interest, I want to remember 3 points. I made 3 points, friends. Point number 1, what did I say? The interest remains same across the years. All right, be it the first year, second year. Interest for the first year is same as interest for the second year, which is same as interest for the third year, and so on. All right, under simple interest, point number 1. Then we talked about how do we calculate the interest for a particular year or interest for n years. Then we talked about what is the amount look like at the end of n years. It's just 3 things. All right, let's take a drill quickly now. Let's go to the drill. Let's understand, keeping these 3 points in mind. Let's take a very simple question to start with. Now listen what's given here. It's given that rate of interest is 8% per annum. Okay, I created a box. Now these things would be projected as a question word. All right, words would be there. All right, now just a drill. Therefore, I just removed the words and I just tabulated the highlights of that particular question, highlights of the question. So what does the question say? Question states that, look, rate of interest is 8% per annum for year. So now the number of years the person has deposited the principal is for about 5 years. What is the principal? Don't know. That's what you got to find out. Yeah, what is the interest earned? He is telling us interest earned is 1600. Yeah, therefore, what is the amount amount payable. All right, what is the amount payable at the end of 5 years? Fair enough. If I know my principal, add principal and interest, all right, that becomes my amount. No problem. I just have to find my principal. Therefore, finding amount is no problem there. All right, that's not a deal. All right, now I got to find my principal. What do we understand here? All right, we said that a simple interest for how many years? This is 5 years. Therefore, 5 years. That's interest for 5 years is 1600. That's what you are trying to say. Okay, therefore, what is interest for 1 year, friends? Interest for 1 year, because it's a simple interest scheme. Interest per year remains same. Therefore, you divide it by 5. Therefore, you say that, okay, interest per year is 320 rupees. Simple interest per year is 320 rupees. Then you call what? All right, now what do you mean by, all right, now what do you mean by the interest for the first year? Interest for the first year is nothing but R% of the principal. R% of the principal. That's what we said. What is the interest? Rate of interest. All right, now R%. So for how long I should, for on what amount I should pay? For the amount called P. That's a principal. Great. Do I know the rate of interest? Of course, yes. All right, that's 8%. That's the interest for the first year. So that's rate of interest 8%. Therefore, 8% can be written as 8 by 100. No problem. 8 by 100 times of what? Principal. 8 by 100 times of what? Principal. Do I know the interest for the first year? Yes, I do. All right, that is 320. All right, which is nothing but 320. Therefore, you got your principal. Right? Therefore, you got your principal. Therefore, you say that 40 into 100. All right, therefore, nothing but 4,000. The principal was 4,000. There was a principal of 4,000. So then, all right, no. So you earned an interest of 1,600. You earned an interest of 1,600 in 5 years period. In 5 years period. Therefore, your amount at the end of 5 years is 5,600. Simple. So nothing we used. The first concept that we learned is what? Already, what is interest? For interest and interest for every year is constant. That's in that simple interest scheme. That's what you use there. For 5 years, it was given. We found out per year. Once I find out per year, it becomes a simple truth, that is interest is nothing but R% of the principal. Hey, can I also do this by the formula? Of course, you can do it by the formula. I never denied that. So what was that? So you will say that simple interest is nothing but simple interest, right? Now simple interest for whatever the duration, interest for 5 years is nothing but principal, R%. All right, people write it as R% of the principal. All right, now technically, all right, whichever way, you generally write R% of the principal. For how long? N years. All right, N years. That's your answer. All right, now percentage, some people write it in the denominator, they write it like this. Does not matter. All are same. All right, now rather I take this approach, pretty logical approach and a simple approach. Let's go further. Let's go further. Let's understand another one. Let's understand another one. 12.5% per annum is the rate of interest. Number of years unknown. Principal known. Simple interest unknown. All right, you have to find the number of years. Of course, you can find simple interest as well, not only number of years. Can I find the simple interest also on this? You can. The amount is given to us. Amount is given to us. Right now, this is a given data. So let's see. All right, now how do we go ahead and find this? Firstly, I can find the simple interest. I can find the simple interest. Difference between these numbers is the interest that I get. Yeah, what is the interest? 750 rupees. That's the interest. All right, difference between the principal and the amount. All it is nothing but the interest. Great. So what all it is? So how long? Don't know. So but then hey, can I find at least for 1 year here? Yes, you can find per year. You can find it on this per year. You can find this. Look at all it now. These two data. I can use this 12% of the principal gives me interest per year. All right, interest per year. Let us find the interest for the first year, friends. What is the interest for the first year? 12.5%. Look, I already asked you to learn the fraction percentage fraction equivalent. So 12.5% can be written as 1 by 8. What is this 12.5%? Fraction percentage equivalent is 1 by 8. It's better to write like that, a little faster, because we already we have already learned that. Therefore, let's write it. 1 by 8th of what? 2000. All right, nothing but what? R percentage of principal. That's what I wrote there. 1 by 8th of 2000. You're writing it 1 by 8th of 2000 here. Right? Yeah. So which is nothing but 1 by 8th of 2000, or 1 by 8th of 2000, 1 by 8th of 2000, which is nothing but, all right, now let's nothing but 250. All right, 250. That is the interest per year. But now listen to here. Now what is the total interest earned? Total interest earned is 750. Now here, all right, now total interest earned is 750. So therefore, how long I need to deposit this money? Because per year it is going to be 250. You know that the multiplying factor is 3 years. Therefore, you say that n is equal to 3 years. Pretty logical approach. Can be done mentally as well. You don't have to remember any formula. You just have to understand that interest per year is nothing but R percentage of principal. Once you understand R percentage of principal, we are done. All right, interest for the first year is nothing but R percentage of principal. This is the powerful tool. All right, this is a powerful tool. Any problem can be brought down to this particular stage and can be attacked. All right, because we need to be clear about that truth. All right, let's go in here. Another drill quickly. Another drill. So this time the rate of interest itself is the question. Author is saying that look, this money has been deposited for 8 years. The principal is 300. Simple interest. All right, now you can find out that simple. All right, what is the interest earned here, friends? What is the interest earned here? Let's start with that note. What is the interest earned? 120 rupees. 120, difference between the amount and principal, which is 120. Great. 120 for how many years? It's for 8 years. Therefore, what is the interest per year? What is the interest per year? 120 divided by 8, which is 15. All right, which is 15 rupees. That is the interest per year. Good. So now R percent. What is the interest for the first year? We said that R interest for first year is nothing but R percentage of principal. Good. What is the interest for the first year? 15 rupees. R percentage, don't know. That's what you are trying to find out. R by 100. What is the principal? Given 300. All right, principal given, which is 300. All right, which is 300. Therefore, 5%. All right, therefore R percent is nothing but R is equal to 5. Technically, when you solve, you get R is equal to 5. R percent. All right, now therefore you want to write in terms of percentage per annum, 5% per annum. All right, now that's what you fill there. Simple one. All right, pretty simple one. Good. All right, let's go further. Let's go further. All right, I guess all right, now very simple drills that we are doing. Let's go further. Let's do a couple more drills, 1 or 2 drills. Then we'll go to word problem here. We'll do 1 or 2 drills more. Right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look. R 8.33%. See, that's the advantage of knowing the fraction percentage equivalent. Already, otherwise you look at this 8.33. Alright, sometimes they give a number like this. So then already you get outfoxed. Alright, it's like 8.33. Calculations becomes unnecessarily lengthy. So if you understand that 8.33 is 1 by 12, alright, it becomes a lot more easier. Alright, no, that's a point I'm trying to make here. So therefore 8.33 is nothing but 1 by 12. You say that okay, this is nothing but 1 by 12. Fraction equivalent of this percentage is nothing but 1 by 12. Life becomes easier. Good. All right, so what is given to me this time? The amount is given to me. Now listen to friends, therefore I said that hey, remember the amount as well. How do we write the amount? Amount is nothing but principal 1 plus, all right, principal. All right, then you said that 1 plus R percentage times of n. R percentage times of n becomes the amount. I said that hey, this is another thing you please remember. See, remembering certain things gives you what? The speed, an advantage of speed. Nothing beyond that. It gives me that particular kind of speed. Great. So therefore what you are saying here, amount is how much? 10,000. Amount is how much? 10,000. So I want to find my principal. Once I find my principal, difference between amount and principal gives me simple interest. That's no big deal. Let us find principal here. Principal 1 plus. Yeah, what is R percent, friends? 1 by 12. All right, R percentage, already 8.33%. That's 8.33 by 100 is 1 by 12. All right, now how long it is? 4 years. All right, how long it is? 4 years. Great. All right, now therefore you are saying that. All right, therefore you are saying that principal, this is 4 3 times. Principal 4 by 3 is essentially equal to 10,000. All right, is nothing but 10,000, right? Therefore 2,500 into 3, therefore principal is equal to 7,500. Simple calculation which leads to 7,500. You are trying to say the principal was 7,500, which resulted in 10,000 as an amount. Therefore what was the simple interest? The difference between these two numbers. Hey, what's the difference? 2,500. Simple question. All right, pretty simple one. So these are the two things I wanted you to remember. How do you calculate interest per year, and then how do you quickly get on to the basic of the amount. All right, if the amount is questioned, how do I quickly get on there? All right, let's take a look at this drill. Let's take a look at this drill. Sometimes all right, we calculate for a quarter or certain number of days, etc. Now per annum, look, rate of interest is per annum. It is for year. If you keep it for a year, I will give you 20%, right? But if you keep it for half year, let's quickly explore this thought. Hey, what if I keep it for half year? All right, what if I keep my money only for half year? Then I will give you half of 20%. Half of 20%. Okay, what if I keep it for a quarter year? That's 3 months, quarter year. If you keep it for a quarter year, I will give all it now 20% divided by 4 quarters. Hey, what do you mean by 4 quarters? All right, now what do you mean by this? 3 months out of 12 months, that's what you're saying. Similarly, what if I keep it for 73 days? Simple. 73 out of 365 days. You are trying to say that look, if you keep it for 365 days, all right, if you keep it for 365 days, I am promising you 20% as the return per annum. Per annum, roughly, all right, more often than not, years have 365. Therefore, when nothing is mentioned, take it as 365 and conclude the problem. All right, I cannot go with the rarity. I should go with the things, all right, which is often used. Right? Yeah. So 365 days gives me 20%. Therefore, 73 days gives me how many days? 73 days. All right. What is the rate of interest? Good. It already get rate of interest that becomes 1 by 5th. All right. Now 7th. This is the calculation that you do for 365 days. It is 20%. For 73 days, how many days? 73 is nothing but this, which is nothing but 4%. Therefore, technically you are saying that if you keep it only for 73 days, I will end up giving you 4%. Simple calculations, no problem on this. Now, this is the first understanding. This is the first cut of understanding. All right, first cut, because all right, it's not necessary that we should deal in terms of years only, right? We deal because we can deal in terms of month. All right, they might define the rate of interest in terms of years. All right, but then the point is, what if you want it only for several months or several days? All right, therefore the interest is accordingly calculated, right? Your service charges, interest is nothing but the service charges. All right, it would be accordingly calculated for you, right? Now that's what it is. 73 days is nothing but 4%, right? Yeah. So principal is 1500, therefore rate of interest, simple interest, I can find simple interest here. Yeah, what is the simple interest? R percent times of the principal is the interest, not interest for the entire year, interest for 73 days. What is the interest for 73 days? R percentage of the principal. What is the revised percentage here? 4%, not per annum, 4% for 73 days. Therefore, you are saying that, man, this is 4 by 100 times of 15000. All right, 15000. Simple calculations lead us to, all right, now, so leads us to 6, all right, leads us to 600. All right, yeah, leads us to 600. Therefore, you are saying that, hey, I will give you only 600 rupees as the interest amount, 15,600. Right, yeah, let's be mindful. All right, now let's be mindful. Sometimes they may ask us to calculate for a half year, a quarter year, or several days. It does not matter. Find out what is the actual rate of interest which turns out to be for those many days, and let's find out. Hey, can I do this directly? Of course. All right, now can I incorporate this 4% directly here? You can incorporate. If you know that 73 days is 1/5 of the year, calculate for 1/5 of the year. Calculate for 1/5 of the year, which means write 20%. Write 20% of the principal, which is 15,000. But since you are keeping it only for 73 days, you can write 73 out of 365. Yeah, why 365? Because this 365 was for one full year, but now you are doing it only for the 73. So you can incorporate that step directly once you understand the concept clearly. All right, yeah, simple drill. All right, pretty simple drill. Let's move on. I guess all right, the drills are pretty clear and obvious. Clear and obvious here. Another drill before we get on to the word problems. Let's do one more small drill, then we'll get on to the word problems. A sum of money invested at SI doubles itself in 5 years. Find the rate of interest, right? Now doubles itself. All it doubles itself in 5 years. Amount doubles. How do you write it, guys? All it know you can use the amount directly. You can use the amount directly. Amount is nothing but principal 1 plus R%. How many years? Some n years. Alright, you can use this proposition and you can calculate. There is absolutely no problem. Alright, you can use this and you can calculate. What is the amount? Doubles, which means amount is nothing but 2 times of the principal. So 1 plus R% times of n, that is the amount getting doubled. Therefore, principal cancel. So now simplify this. Alright, now let me write that one extra steps for you so that it's clear to you. R% of n, subtract. Therefore, you say that, man, R% of n is equal to 2. That's what you are trying to write. Hey, what is R%, friends? R by 100, isn't it? R by 100, isn't it? Yes. Okay, R by 100. So that doubles itself in 5 years. Already in 5 years. Therefore, the value of n is also given to me. What is the value of n, friends? 5. Therefore, I am substituting them. R% of n, I am substituting because R% is R by 100. N is nothing but 5 years. You're substituting it. So therefore, you would say that R is nothing but, sorry, this is 1, isn't it? This is 1. I took this 1 onto the other side. Calculation perspective, that becomes 1. Nothing. I just simplified this place. I simplified this whole place. Therefore, R is equal to 20. So you are trying to say that the rate of interest therefore is nothing but 20%. The rate of interest therefore is nothing but 20%. If it is something like, all right, now the whole numbers something like this, all right, pretty simple. All right, now here what you do here after is doubles. All right, now if it doubles, which means if there was 100 rupees, all right, you start something like this. Easier way to do this, I'm telling you. If you start with 100 rupees, you will get another 100 rupees. Interest becomes 100 rupees. If this is the principal, this is the interest that you earn. That is what you mean by doubling. That's what you mean by doubling. Whatever was your principal, so much more interest has been added. 100 interest has been added, right? If you start with 100 as a principal, 100 as the interest been added. All right, 100 as the interest been added in how many years, friend? 5 years. Therefore, per year, what is the interest? Simple, 100 divided by 5 per year. All right, now that's the interest per year because this 100 was the interest added for 5 years. Therefore, you say that, man, it is going to be 20%. Simple. That's all you are going to do on this particular question. All right, that's all the calculation you did. Hey, why did you take 100? Because the rate of interest is anyway in percentage. If it is a percentage, then why don't you take the base as 100? Okay, why to take some other base? Take the base as 100. Life is easy. All right, therefore life becomes easier. All right, now therefore the calculation becomes much more easier here. Right, yeah, that's something like that that you can do. Take a look at the second one. Take a look at the second one. Triples in 8 years. Therefore, find the rate of interest. Question stem is same, friends. Find the rate of interest. Now this time what is happening here? Triples in 8 years, which means what? If you keep 100, that's a principal. The interest earned is 200. Therefore, the amount becomes 300. That's what you mean by tripling. Already amount becomes 300. If you start with a principal of 100, you earn an interest of 200, thereby amount becomes 300. That's what you mean by tripling. Your money got tripled, which means what? 100 earned another 200. Good, simple. Alright, now you always start with 100. The life is simpler. When you start with 100, the life is simpler. That's my point precisely I'm trying to make. Alright, that's a point I'm trying to make so that you get your answer much faster. Therefore, what is the interest per year, guys? What is the interest per year? Now this guy is earning 200 rupees in how many years? 8 years. Therefore 200 divided by 8. Alright, therefore 200 divided by 8. You are trying to say that look, there is an interest of 25% per annum. Right, there is an interest of 25% per annum. Simple one. Alright, once you understand the concept, it's very clear and very quick to do these kind of calculations without too much of hassle. Okay, let's look at the next one. Hey, what if I get a fraction like this? What if I get a fraction like this? 7 by 4 times, already in 6 years. 7 by 4 times in 6 years. Simple. So you will say that, okay, principal, already now is 100. Principal is 100. Amount, what is the amount? 7 by 4 times of 100. I can do this calculation. Then I can calculate my interest, no problem. Alright, now from principal, jump to amount. Hey, what is the amount? 7 by 4 times of 100. Alright, 7 by 4 times of 100 is nothing but 225. If it is 225, 100 was already there. Therefore, how much more you are earning there? Sorry, 175. How much more you are earning as the interest? 75. Why? What is this particular number? 175. Alright, this was 175. Therefore, you are saying that 75 is what I earned as an interest. In how many years you earned this interest of 75? Alright, in 6 years. In 6 years, you earned this as 75. Alright, therefore, what is the interest per year? Alright, therefore, what is the interest per year? That's a calculation that you are doing. Alright, that's a calculation that you are doing. Therefore, the interest per year is nothing but the rate of interest. Interest per year is technically nothing but the rate of interest because you started with the principal of 100. Right now, therefore, 75 divided by 6. Alright, 75 divided by 6, which is nothing but 12.5%. Alright, which is nothing but 12.5%. Simple one, beautiful questions. Alright, beautiful questions. It's just that, okay, I should know how do I approach these how do I approach these particular questions. Guess alright, all of you are learning something through this simple drills. Simple drills. Okay, here we go. I just put the words around this question, guys. You solve this. I put the words around this. All of you solve. Take a minute. Make an effort to solve. If my drills are clear. Okay, we can take a logical approach as well because the numbers are so good and so convenient. What do you mean by logical approach? Now listen to me. There is a principle. Well, there is a principle. The sum of money at simple interest triples, becomes 3 times. The amount is 3 times. All right, now let's be very careful. All right, now principle. 2p is the interest. Now this is what you started with. If you start with this, it becomes 2p. 2p is what? The interest earned. Interest earned is 2p. All right, therefore the amount. All right, therefore the amount is nothing but 3p. Why? Because your principal will get added to the interest, which becomes the amount. That's what you mean by tripling. Right, now look at this. P has earned 2p interest in how many years, guys? 8 years. Now to make this money, how long did it take? 8 years. I'm not saying that P became 2p in 8 years. No, P earned 2p in 8 years time. All right, that's what author has said. All right, to earn 2p, it wanted 8 years. Perfect. All right. So therefore, P to earn another P as an interest. Already you started with P. Interest earned is P. How many years? Simple, 4 years. 4 years. Why? Because it's a very static scheme, flat scheme. Basically, you're trying to say flat structure. All right, now to earn 2p as an interest, you started with P. To earn 2p as an interest, not amount, it triples. So triples is the amount, 3 times is the amount. I'm just focusing on the interest part. Interest part is what? 2p is the interest. To earn 2p as the interest, all right, now twice p as the interest, it took 8 years. Therefore, how much time it will take, all right, to earn p as the interest? 4 years. Therefore, it takes 4 years to do this. Great. Okay. Now 5 times. times. The money should become 5 times. Therefore, what should be the interest earned? Therefore, what should be the interest earned? Interest earned should be 4p. You start with p, but you want to earn an interest of 4p there. Already you want to earn an interest of 4p there. Good. If it takes 4 years to do this job, 4 years to make 1p, or to generate 1p, to generate 4p, it requires 4 times of 4 years. Right, 4 times of 4 years. Therefore, you would say that, man, all it requires is 16 years. Right? You didn't find any, you didn't find what is the rate of interest, etc., etc. All that may not be required here. Right? Without getting into that hassle, you can find out that, okay, it is going to take 16 years to do this. Okay, 16 years. Right? For this to become 5 times itself. To become 5 times itself, it requires 15 years. Simple calculation. All right, pretty simple calculation. If you want to do mathematically, how would I have done it? How would I have done it? This how you would have done it? Or you would have said that, okay, now mathematically, if you are trying to do this, amount is equal to principal 1 plus r percent times of number of years. So what is given to me? All right, amount is nothing but 3 times the principal. Therefore, 3p is equal to p 1 plus r percent times of 8. All right, this I would have written here. All right, now p and p are cancelled. Therefore, you will say that 2 is equal to r percent times of 8. All right, now that's how something you would have written there. You have written. All right, now therefore you will say that this is 2 4 times is 8. All right, therefore you say that r is equal to 25%. You will say that rate of interest is 25%. Once you get rate of interest as 25%, or you get rate of interest as 25%, you can calculate for the money to become 5 times itself, how many years it will take. So now you will say that, okay, so same proposition. Now how do you write this? Now 5 times of the principal, because the money should become 5 times itself, that is 5 times of the principal. P 1 plus rate of interest is how much, friends? 25%, because that's what we discussed now. All right, now rate of interest is 25%. How many years? N years. N years. P and P are cancelled. You can solve and you will get the same value of N as 16 years. Now, this is the purest mathematical approach. It is good to know. My point is what? Why I'm doing this on this particular side? Why I'm discussing this approach? It is not that I am handicapped not to do this. No, I should know. What do I do? I'll get the rate of interest, then I can proceed. There is absolutely no problem. That method you should know. But what you do in the exam is the logical approach. All right, what you do in the exam is the logical approach. You will just push your pencil a little bit and you will say that 16 is my answer. Right? I don't have to go via the route of, hey, I will find the rate of interest, then I will come back, I'll substitute in this, then I will calculate to tell you that the value of n is equal to 16. Sure, all right, that also can be done. There is no big deal. Right? But then this is the logical approach is what I also want you to be aware of. All right, because you know that undercurrent is what? All right, now every year the interest remains same. Once you understand that particular fact, this can be worked out little faster and better. All right, faster and better. Okay, let's take another question here. Let's take another question. Similar logic applied. 30 seconds. Read it at least first. Yeah, do it with me. Do it with me. What is the amount? Amount is given to me. Amount is given to me here. It said that the case 1, the amount is 180 per 180. All right. Yeah. Case 2, the amount is 120. Let me write this case first. Let me write this 120 case first. How do I write that amount part? Amount is equal to, amount is equal. Amount is nothing but principal plus interest. All right, now for interest for some n number of years, I don't know the years. All right, now there is some interest at what rate, friends? 4% per annum. At what rate? All right, now let's take a look there. 4% per annum. See now, look, all right, now simple way of understanding. 4% per annum, how many years? Don't know. All right, now all and everything can be written. Hey, can I write this interest part? Why not? You can write it, but just keep it. Interest is there. So interest is I, which is this case, this 120 case. I'm talking about this 120 case. This is my structure. So how do I write this 120 case? There is a principal. All right, I don't know what was that principal. How long did you keep? I don't know. But what is the interest you want here? I is the interest you earned here. What is the total money therefore? 120. Perfect. Now look at this. If you double the rate of interest, if you double the rate of interest, same number of years, you are anyway keeping it for the same number of years. You are using the same sum, same principal, everything remains same, right? But the amount has become 180. The amount has become 180. All right, now 4%, all right, instead of 4%, if you give 8% per annum rate of interest, naturally your interest will get doubled. Interest component get doubled on the same principle. What do you mean? Hey, there is a principle. This time you earn 2 times of interest. Whatever you are earning on 120, all right, now so this time, all right, because 120 was on a base of 4%, but now it is on 8%. 4% to 8% is the double. Therefore, your rate of interest, therefore your interest earned will get doubled. Your principal will same, it's doubled. Hey, how much this has become? This has become 180. Perfect. All right, this has become 180. Solve, subtract the first equation from the second. P and P gets cancelled. Therefore, you will say that hey, I is equal to 60. I is equal to 60. Substitute I is equal to 60. You substitute here. Therefore, you say that hey, P is also equal to 60. Very good. Technically, you are trying to say that. All right, now look at the second case. All right, now because what was this 120? Second case. Go to the second case. Technically, you are saying that hey, you started off with 60 and you earned, all right, now this was your principal, and you earned an interest of 60 more rupees. That's all you are trying to say. And you earned another interest of 60 more rupees. All right, now so that's what you are trying to say. What was the rate of interest that was used here in the second scheme? 4%. At the rate of 4%, all right, now you double the money. You double the money. All right, now 60, you earned another 60 at the rate of 4%. Therefore, what was the sum invested? That is what author is asking. What is the money that was invested? Simple, friends. All right, now you said, all right, now this 60 is a dummy number. This 60 is a dummy number. If you understand it is abstract, it is dummy number. What was that? Whatever was your principal, you earned so much more money. What if your principal was 100? Simple, you earned 100 more money. All right, 100 more money as the interest. Interest was another 100 more. Therefore, all right, I already taught you this particular technique. All right, what was that? Therefore, what is rate of interest? Rate of interest, therefore, is nothing but 100 divided by 4, because 4 percentage, it is on a scale of 100. Why don't I write 100 by 4 and call it as 25%? Therefore, the rate of interest is nothing but 25%. I can use this. All right, we can use this and we can do that. In the sense, like, no, the 60, once you understand that 60 yielded another 60, it becomes abstract. See, I'm talking about abstract nature as well. It's good to understand that there are certain abstract element. All I understand is what? The proportion. What is a proportion? 60 is 60. Therefore, what if I started with 100? Would have been remained 100. Or it would have remained 100. Therefore, we already know that, okay, for 4 percentage, it's a percentage, right, on a scale of 100. Why don't I convert the 60 scale to 100 scale and finish my deal? I can finish this. Hey, no, I don't want to convert. You don't want to convert. You would have written the same thing and you would have calculated. What is that? Simple interest is equal to R percentage of principal into n number of years. Yeah, what is the simple interest? 60 rupees. Yeah, what is R percentage? All right, now, what is R percentage? 4 by 100. Yeah, what is the principal here? Another 60 rupees. What is n? N is number of years. You cancelled it. Therefore, n is equal to 100 by 4. You would have written this extra step to understand and write it as 25%. All right, there 25 years. Sorry, all right, now therefore not R percentage, guys. Now what is that we are talking about? N. Therefore, what is n here? N is nothing but another 25 years. Same 25. Instead of getting it like this, already you would have done this extra work, all right, which wasn't required. You would have done this extra work which wasn't required. Great. I guess already everybody is learning here. Already everybody is learning. We already spoke about this. If the number of years were given earlier, how to find the rate of interest. Earlier, what used to happen? Same kind of question. Number of years were given, so we used to find the rate of interest. Now this time, what rate of interest is given? Why don't we find number of years? Both are similar, right? Yeah, great. All right, I guess everybody is learning something here. Simple question, technically can be done just mentally, all right, because solving this equation can happen mentally. There you will understand that interest and principal are same in the second case. Therefore, you can close it within no time. All right, you can close it within no time. Learn a little bit of logical approaches. That's my point. Here is another beautiful example. Here is another beautiful example. All of you read. Take 30 seconds to a minute. Read the question. Read question carefully. Okay, let's try this together. Let's try this together. I guess most of you would have closed it. Simple one. A father left a will of rupees 35 lakhs between his two daughters aged 8.5 and 16 such that they will get equal amounts when each of them attain 21 years of age. Right? When they turn 21 years, they both get the same money. Okay, what is the time gap for the first child? What is the time gap for a younger child? Well, a younger child, now 8.5 to 21, the child has 12.5 years at hand. Right, the second one, the other one, or the older one, 16 to 25. What is the time at hand? 5 years. All right, that's the thing. All right, now one person will attain 21 years after 12.5 years from now. The other person would attain 21 years, all right, after 5 years from now. Now means what? When the will is being made. The will is being made on 35 lakhs. Good. All right, now what is the rate of interest the bank is promising? 10% per annum. What scheme? Simple interest scheme. Right, that is what the investment bank is promising. How much did the elder daughter get at the time of the will? Therefore, how should I break this will so that what is the share of the elder daughter? What is the share of the elder daughter out of this 35? How the father should share this particular money, not equally, all right, because one person is getting less time, the one person is getting more time. So how do I put this to perspective? Simple. So now this 35, now you'll say that, okay, let's say that out of this 35, the older daughter gets X. This is the elder. All right, elder daughter gets X. All right, therefore you will say that, okay, the younger, all right, the younger daughter gets, the younger daughter gets Y. You can also write it as 35 minus X. There is no problem. Can I write 35 minus X? Absolutely, you can write it. You can write it. That is also fine. So what is that you are trying to say on this X money? How this elder daughter is how the amount is calculated on this? Amount is calculated as X times of 1 plus amount. Amount should be equal. What is that? Amount got by the elder daughter at the end of 5 years is same as amount got by the younger daughter at the end of 12.5 years. They both should be equal. Technically, they both should be equal. That's what we are trying to say. Perfect. Let's write the amount. We already know how to write the amount. Principal. What is the principal? X. 1 plus rate of interest. What is the rate of interest, friends? 10%. Right, what is the rate of interest? 10%. How long? Call it now 5 years. That is the time available with the elder daughter, equal to, this is the amount, right? This amount is equal to the amount that the younger one is also going to get. But when? After 12.5 years. Good. So what is the principal being deposited with the younger daughter? Y. Okay, Y. So Y 1 plus, okay, rate of interest 10%. How many years? 12.5 years. How many years? 12.5 years. Perfect. All right, now so this, if I calculate, this becomes 1.5x, 1.5x, which also is going to become 2.25x, 2.25y. So what do I get? I'll get the ratio of x by y, which will be 3 by 2. Simplification, 3 by 2. Technically, what is that you are trying to say? You are trying to say that this 35 should be divided in the ratio 3:2. Alright, in the ratio 3:2. Simple. Alright, therefore one person will get 21 lakhs. One person, this is first side is what? X, that's share of X and Y. That's what you are trying to say. You got the ratio of X and Y. You did not get exact money. What is the yesterday in the ratios chapter we spoke about this? Alright, the previous chapter was on ratios. So we spoke about this, how to split this. Alright, now there is always a total factor. I spoke about it. I don't have to be repetitive about it. Just split 35 lakhs in the ratio 3:2. Therefore it becomes 21 lakhs and 14 lakhs. And 14 lakhs. The required answer is what? How much does the elder daughter should get? Well, the elder daughter, you got to deposit 21 lakhs in the name of elder daughter. Thereby, she gets an amount equivalent of what would be the younger daughter would be getting at the end of 12.5 years, right? Great. All right, now this is a pretty simple proposition, easy to solve. You can bring in that ratio. See, writing this hardly takes any time. All right, nobody can complain that this is a tough question. It's impossible for anybody to complain it's a tough question. It should not be, because the ratio concept is clear, concept of SICA is clear, therefore hardly it takes any time all right now to solve this particular question, right? Good going. So let's now let's shift the gear, because it's been almost about 40 minutes I've been talking about SI. It should be clear to you. Again, we'll come back to the relationship between SI and CI after some time. Let's quickly go and explore a little bit about the CI portion. Let's explore a little bit about the CI portion. Yeah, let me introduce this scheme quickly. Let me introduce this principle. Say let's just like the way we did in the simple interest, let's take the let's take the same money. Principal 1000 rupees, principal 1000, right? 1000 principal, rate of interest 10% per annum. let's observe what happens through the duration of 3 years. Let's observe through the duration of 3 years how the principal a simple interest component and the amount component keeps varying. All right, now let's observe this. So already he started with 1000 already. This one, let's focus only on this. Simple interest is already done, so I rather don't want you to focus on this. Right, let's not focus on this. Rather, let's focus only on the compound interest and let's get it done, because simple interest should be crystal clear by now. Let's not again compare it. Let's not go there. We'll go at the relationship time, the comparison time. Of course, we'll go back there and we will try and explore. For now, let's just take a look at only this particular proposition. Let's see here. Right, so what I have, all right, now 1000 rupees, 1000 rupees, we start off with 1000. Let's say start 1000. 10%, this 10% is the rate of interest at the end of the first year, 100. Therefore, what is the amount, friend? 1100. Simple. Like 1100. But now listen, what used to happen in the simple interest is this 1000 used to give me the rate of interest every single year. That was the only active number. That's the only active number. Right? It used to give the same interest every single year. But what happens now is your principal keeps changing at the end of the compounding period. What happens in this case? Already it's per annum. Rate of interest is per annum. Compounding happens every year, let's say, which means your principal gets changed every single year. All right, now that's compounding every year means every year your principal keeps revised. Your principal gets revised. How does it get revised? All right, you add the principal to this. Principal and interest you add 100. You add to 1000, which becomes 1100, which becomes the revised principal. If this was my first principal, this is my revised principal. Now what do I charge? I give you 10% of this revised principal. Now look, earlier 10% of what? The first principal. Now what I'm getting you? 10% of revised principal, which is 1100. All right, 1100, which becomes 110. That becomes your interest. All right, 110. So now therefore, all right, now so what will be my next? Therefore, what is the amount here? Amount becomes the next principal. This is the amount. All right, 1100 added to 110 becomes 1210. Technically, that is the amount due at the end of the second year. But if you want to continue the journey for the third year, then I say that, hey, this will be the principal for your third year. All right, this is going to be the principal for your third year. Great. So now therefore, what? 10% of 1210. What is it? 121, which becomes 121. Right now, so therefore, what is the amount due? Amount due is sum of these two numbers, which becomes 1331. Right now, it's a pretty simple one. I'm sure all of you recalled from what you learned in the primary school, higher primary or high school, or whichever the stage, all right, now that you remember, you would have recalled this. Now, one point I want you to remember here. One point I want you to remember is this. All right, one point I want to remember is this. Now look at this scale. All right, just go by this particular scale I'm talking here. From here till here, it is 10% increase. From here till here, there is a 10% increase. From here till here, there is a 10% increase. Now I can use my multipliers. All right, I can use my multipliers to reach from one stage to another stage. Hey, what is 10% multiplier, guys? What is the fraction for 10%? Fraction for 10% is nothing but 1 by 10. Hey, what is the multiplier therefore? 11 by 10. I can use this multiplier. So what I meant that, okay, so if you want the amount for the subsequent year, multiply by 11 by 10. That is 1000 into 11 by 10 gives you what? 1100. Okay. Hey, what if you want for the next subsequent year? Again, multiply this by another 11 by 10. If I multiply by 11 by 10, that is 1100 into 11 by 10 gives me 1210. What if I want for the subsequent year? Into 11 by 10. Now therefore, what did I do here? Successive multipliers is what I used. Already we talked about this in the percentages 2 chapter. Percentages 2 chapter. Therefore, successive multipliers is what has been used here. So therefore, how do you write the formula for this? How do you write the formula for compound interest? You write something like this. All right, now so what is a multiplier? Multiplier is 1 plus r%. Now this is the multiplier. Technically 1 plus r% is the multiplier. All right, that is how you wrote the multiplier. Any multiplier is like this. Hey, is that so? Yes. 10%. All right, now 10%. What is the multiplier for this? 1 plus 10%. That is the multiplier. That is 1 plus 1 by 10. That is what you wrote it as 11 by 10. All right, 1 plus 10%. That's what you wrote it as 11 by 10. Precisely, therefore 1 plus r% is the multiplier. Hey, how many times you used it? N times. All right, if it is 3 years, 3 times, therefore raised to the power n. So all right, now this multiplier is based on what? Based on the principal. Start with some principal, then put the multipliers together. Now that has given me what? Already every time you are getting the amount. This gives you what? That gives you the amount. Alright, that gives you the amount. Therefore, rather we don't calculate compound interest directly. We calculate compound amount. Alright, amount is what we calculate because it becomes the function of multiplier. Just remember that word multiplier there because we are going to use that multiplier more often than not. Alright, now so we'll see the approaches. We'll see the approaches as we go along. So multiplier is a very important concept technically when it comes to the compound interest. Right? I'm sure. Alright, all of you got this. There's another multiplier here. The interest also follows the same multiplier. Now look at this. 10, 100 went on to become 110. What is the multiplier? 11 by 10. Hey, why 11 by 10? Because 10% is the rate of interest. 10%, what is the multiplier? 1 by 10. 11 by 10. Multiplier fraction is 1 by 10. Multiplier is 11 by 10. Okay, now look at this. This into this. What is this? This also multiplier. 11 by 10. Yeah, from where I'm getting this 11 by 10, 10% interest. See, there are two trends. The interests every year also follow the trend of 11 by 10. The previous year interest to the next year interest would be a function of 11 by 10. There is nothing but rate of interest multiplier. So also the amounts follow that particular trend. Both interest as well as amount are the functions of multipliers. Both are functions of the same multiplier in the given problem. Alright, that is something I want to keep it in mind. Of course, I'll come back to this. Alright, I'll come back to this maybe after 30 to 40 minutes from now. So when I teach you the relationship between the compound interest and the simple interest, I'll come back there. I'll come back in a while. I'll come back maybe after 30 or 40 minutes. Alright, once we are kind of done with this. Alright, let's take a simple drill here. Let's take a simple drill, friends. Let's take a simple drill. Rate of interest is 10% per annum. Alright, number of years is 2 years. Principal is this. Therefore, what is the compound interest? Let's use multiplier. Can I use the formula? Of course, you can use the formula, but let me use the multiplier there. What do you start with? Therefore, amount. Let's start with amount here because I said that compound interest is nothing but compound interest is principal amount minus principal. That's the way we arrive at this. There is no direct way to get the compound interest. Rather, we'll say that amount minus principal gives me the compound interest part, right? Okay. So what is the scheme? 2 years simple scheme given to us. So 20,000. Now therefore you will say that amount is nothing but 20,000. Great. Now use the multiplier 2 times. Technically you are supposed to be writing a formula that is 1 plus 10%. How many times? Yeah, 2 times. Alright, because it's a 2 year, therefore I should be writing it as 2 times. This is what I should be writing. Fair enough. Alright, you can write this, absolutely no problem. So now nothing but what? Directly use the multiplier. Why do all this drama? Use the multiplier for this. What is given to me? 10%. Yeah, what is the multiplier for 10%, friends? 11 by 10. Why? Fraction for 10% is 1 by 10. Therefore, what is a multiplier for 1 by 10? Alright, it's going to be 11 by 10. Always add, don't subtract here. There is no depreciation. Alright, now the interest is nothing but appreciation. Adding something to it, right? Adding something to it, not removing something from it. Alright, therefore it's a plus sign because you say that 10%. Should I subtract or should I add? It's add. It's not a depreciation. It's appreciation in the sense like you are adding it to the principal. Alright, interest is what gets added, not gets subtracted from the principal, right? Now it's added. So therefore 11 by 10. Great. How many times? 2 times. Use this multiplier twice. 11 by 10 into 11 by 10. Why 2 times? Because it's for 2 years. Alright, because it's for 2 years. 11 by 10 and 11 by 10, we can do this calculation. Alright, there is no issue with this. Alright, therefore you say that okay, so this is 200 into 121. 121 into 200. Alright, therefore it is nothing but 242 followed by 00. Alright, that is the amount. Amount is 24200. 24200. 20,000 you started with, you ended up with 24,000. Therefore what is the interest earned? 4,200. Simple. Okay, now listen to me. I'm introducing a concept to you because sometimes when the question gets tougher, so how do I use these multipliers? I'll come to you because I use the dummies to get this done. I rather use the dummies to get this done. You will not understand until the time I show the next question. But before I show the next question, I want you to understand what I'm going to do here. So the rate of interest is the key. More often than not, in the compound interest, if the rate of interest is given, your problem is half done. If the rate of interest is the question mark, that is when the problem gets a little trickier. But if the rate of interest itself is given, assume it's going to be one of the easier. It's going to be, you can easily deal with that particular question. How? Let's come to it. Now look at the rate of interest, friends. Look at the rate of interest. I'm removing this data. So because I want you to understand the way it should be understood. Now, rate of interest is 10%. Write the multiplier. Start with the multiplier 11 by 10. Start with the multiplier 11 by 10. So how many years? Second key becomes the number of years. How many years? 2 years. Perfect. Therefore, write this multiplier 2 times. Multiplier means you have to multiply only. Don't write the multiplier and add them. Alright, don't write the multiplier and add them. When the word multiplier, it's pretty simple one, easy to remember. Multiplier means multiply. How many things I should multiply? 2 times. Alright, 2 years. Therefore, take the same term 2 times. 11 by 10 into 11 by 10. Just put this to perspective. 11 by 10 into 11 by 10. Now do what? Calculate. This becomes 121 by 100. Remember friends, if 100 is the principal, what is this fraction trying to tell me? Gold standard. If the 100 is your principal, your amount is going to be 121. Your amount is going to be 121. Perfect. What is my interest going to be? My interest is going to be, that's compound interest only, of course, 121 minus 100. Therefore, my interest is going to be 21 rupees. 21 rupees. Great. Now, this is what? A prototype. What you are written here? A prototype. How did you write a prototype? Function of two things. If I know my rate of interest, if I know number of years, I can create a prototype. You created a prototype 11 by 10 and 11 by 10, which has become 121 by 100. You just have to know what is that 100 in the denominator, which signifies a principal. What is that 121 in the numerator? It is the amount. For how many years? For at the end of 2 years, this is the proposition. Good. If this is what is true at the end of 2 years, what is the interest at the end of 2 years? The difference, 121 minus 100, or 21. What is all this? It's a prototype. Prototype means something like this. Principal, amount, there is an amount, there is a principal, and there is an interest. Right? There is an interest, or let me write in the order. There is a principal, there is a principal, there is an amount, and there is an interest. What is the principal? 100. What is the amount? 121. What is the interest? 21. That's a prototype. Now scaling factor. On this prototype, apply the scaling factor. Hey, what is the actual principal? Actual principal is 20,000. Great. All right, it is not 1,000. It is going to be 20,000. Hey, what is the scaling factor? Zoom in, zoom out. Zooming factor I'm talking about. Multiplied by 2x, 3x, something like this. The zooming factor here, all right, 100 has become 20,000 here. Therefore, you say that this factor is nothing but 200. You multiply this by 200. All right, it becomes 20,000. If you multiply this by 200, you better multiply the next number also by 200. Amount also you multiply by 200. Interest also you multiply by 200. All right, that becomes your respective numbers. Therefore, you say that hey, this is 24200. All right, this is nothing but 4200. That's precisely those are the numbers that you wrote. Okay. Now, I want you to be very clear about this prototype model, because when the questions get little complicated, this approach serves to be faster. This approach serves to be faster. What are the two things I should know? The rate of interest is the key, followed by the number of years. If I know these two, I can quickly create the prototype. I guess it made some sense. I spent 10 minutes to illustrate this, 5 minutes to 10 minutes to illustrate this. Let's go to the applications quickly now. Let's get on to the applications. Take a look at this number. All right, take a look at this number. Now, this could have been a challenge. All right, if you don't know the right approach on this particular question, this can challenge a little bit. Okay, challenge a little bit, because there cannot be too much of a challenge in SIC. If you say that, hey, is it a massive challenge? Of course, I disagree with it. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look here. Let's try and do this. Let's try and do this. Now, listen to me. What is the key I said? 12.5%. Rate of interest is the key. That's what we talked about. That's what we talked about. What is 12.5%, friends? 1 by 8. That's a 1 by 8. What is 1 by 8? Fraction. I'm not interested in fraction. What is the multiplier therefore? 9 by 8. Call it 9 by 8 is the multiplier. How long? 2 years. Therefore, what I should write? Write the prototype 9 by 8 into 9 by 8. 9 by 8 into 9 by 8. Good. 81 by 64. 81 by 64. What is this 64? Principal. What is this 81? Amount. If 64 was the principal, had you deposited 64 rupees, you would already, the outstanding amount would be 81. In the sense, like, the amount that you, the amount it transfers to 81. Okay. Therefore, what is the interest? Which interest? Compound interest at the end of 2 years. The difference between 81 and 64, which is 17 rupees. That was going to be the interest. What is the prototype? It looks like this. There is a principal, there is an amount, and there is an interest. Okay, what was the principal? 64. Had you started with 64, the amount would have become 81, your interest would have become 17. Now this is a prototype scaling factor. Apply the scaling factor on this particular prototype. It's given, hey, interest is 680. Fair enough, interest is 680. Put the scaling factor. You can find the scaling factor. It need not be an integer, because I'm just giving the nice, I'm giving an introduction to this. I've taken the nice numbers. Therefore, you will get these numbers mentally. If you don't get these numbers mentally, calculate them. There is no big deal, right? Yeah. So therefore, you say that 40 times. And I'm taking nice numbers here. Can it be 35.8 times? It may become 35.8 times. Don't bother. That can be calculated, right? Yeah. 17 in dollar to 40 times. All right, now it becomes this. So therefore, what I should do with this 81? 81 also make it 40 times. All right, 81 also make it 40 times, therefore it becomes 3240. All right, 3240. All right, 3240, that is the amount. All right, all right, that would become the amount. So what I should do with this, make this also 40 times, all right, which will become 2560. 2560, these are the numbers. You would have started with 2560. All right, 2560, 680 is the compound interest. All right, then you are saying that 3240 is nothing but the amount. Prototype, this is a beautiful model. All right, now look at this question. Had you just followed this model, this can be closed within no time. Therefore, this is one of the beautiful approaches. This is the approach that you got to kind of know. Sure, all right, now some of your high school teachers might have taught you this. I'm not sure they taught, they didn't teach, does not matter. But this is the approach to compound interest, right? Now let's do a couple of questions. Let's do a couple of questions. Let's do a couple of questions. Here we go with another one. Here we go with another one. Do the other one. Now look how he has twisted. All right, now he's saying that, okay, man, I'm giving you compound interest for second year. For the second year, it is 2000. Therefore, can you tell me what was the principal deposit or what is the amount at the end of 2 years? All that stuff, right? All that stuff, whatever can be the question. One of them can be, all right, some questions can be asked. That's what I meant. So what has been given here rather? He said that, hey, compound interest for the second year is this much. Good. Now listen to me. How do we start this particular problem? What is 11.11%? 1 by 9. What is 11.11%? 1 by 9. Make an assumption. Let the principal be 9 square. Now you may wonder, why 9 square? What is the problem here? Why I'm taking it as a 9 square here? All right, now let the principal be 9 square. That's how you start this particular problem. Right now, because that's when you will be able to calculate compound interest for the second year, not for 2 years. It is just the second year. That's a compound interest for the second year. Hey, why did I start like this? I'll come to you. I'll come to it. Why I'm starting it like this. There is a reason for it. I'll come to it. Let the principal be 9 square. All right, now that's what you say. Perfect. So that's nothing but 81 rupees. All right, 81 rupees. 9 square because it's for 2 years. 9 because 9 is in the denominator. If you don't want to encounter unnecessary fraction, you better start a function of this 9 and also a 2 number here. Because it's a compounding issue, take it as a 9 square. Don't make it 2 into 9 because it's not a linear issue. If it's a linear issue, you will take it as 2 into 9. Because it's a compounding issue, you better take it as a 9 square. All right, it becomes 81. Therefore, the principal is 81 rupees. That's 9 square, which is 81. Let's calculate interest for the first year. What is the interest for the second year? First year, interest for the first year is 1 by 9th of the principal. R percent of principal, 11.11% of principal. What is R percent, friends? 1 by 9 times of what? Principal. Simple. All right, now that's a pretty simple proposition. Okay, so therefore how much it becomes? 9. Okay, that's fine. So therefore what will the principal for the subsequent year? 81 plus 9. That's what we told in the basics. We said that, hey, the principal for the second year is going to change. How it is going to change? Whatever was the previous principal, you better add the interest to it. All right, that becomes the revised principal. What is 81 plus 9? 90 rupees. All right, revised principal is what? 90 rupees. Great. Put that 90 rupees. Therefore, what is the interest for the second year, friends? Interest for the second year is 1 by 9th of, because in the second year also you are going to get the same percentage, 11.11%. But 11.11% of what? Not the same 81, a revised principal. What is the revised principal? 90 rupees. 1 by 9th of 90. Yeah, what is 1 by 9th of 90? All at 1 by 9th of 90 is 10 rupees. Now look at this. In your prototype, you have a principal. And you know the interest for the second year. Hey, what was the principal? Your principal was 81 rupees. That's what you started with. Hey, what is the interest for the second year? You got 10 rupees. But what did author say? Man, I'm getting interest for the second year as 70,000 rupees. Not 10 rupees, I'm getting 70,000 rupees. Good. Hey, what is the factor of multiplication therefore? 7,000. Factor of multiplication is 7,000. If you want the principal, therefore, what you should be doing? Multiply this by 7,000. All right, multiply this by 7,000. Right now, therefore, 567 000. All right, now that is the kind of principle that you have started with. That's the kind of principle you have started with. You can get the amount as well because you know the principle now. You can add it and you can get the amount there. I guess everybody is enjoying this, right? Everybody is enjoying. You are learning this. Or you are learning this. So what did you learn here? You said that because you don't want to encounter unnecessary fractions, you said I will take the principal as the function of the denominator. Always remember, rate of interest and number of years is the key. All right, therefore you got this 9 and then you took this 2 and you said that my principal is going to be 9 square. Reason being, thereby in your prototype you will not get the interests as fraction. If you take any other number, you will be simply messing up with the interest. All right, that takes long longer time. So thereby already in your prototype, you will be getting the nice numbers. Once you get the nice numbers, you can take the factor of multiplication and you can close that particular deal. Right? You can close that particular deal. All right, that's about that. Right now you got the idea. Let's explore a little more. Let's explore a little more. Don't panic. Let's explore a little more here. Let's explore a little more. Take a look at this particular question. Take a look at this. 11.11% per annum, but this person has deposited the money for 1.5 years. After 1.5 years, there was an emergency and this person wanted to withdraw his principal, withdraw the amount. So what is the amount this person gets, or what is the compound interest this person gets? Anything can be calculated. Let's understand. Now 1.5 years is nothing but the part of the second year. This 6 months is the part of the second year. Look at the 6 months. This is the part of what? This is the part of the second year. It is not the part of the first year. It's a part of the second year. If it is a part of the second year, you better calculate for 2 years. You better consider your multiplier for 2 years. Consider for 2 years. Let me tell you what I meant by consider it for 2 years. Let's see. Yeah, what is the fraction here? 1 by 9. 11.11% is what? 1 by 9. Good. Therefore, I'm saying that, hey, take your principal as 9 square. 9 square, it's a 1.5 years, but you don't take it as 3 by 2, 9 raised to power 3 by 2. Don't make it 9 raised to power 3 by 2. Rather make it as 9 square. Tell it, take 1 year, right? Take the completion year, the next subsequent completion year. 1.5 years, the completion becomes 2 years. Take that number. Great. I took the principal as 81. Now listen to me carefully. What is the interest for the first year? All right, now 1 by 9, all right, 11.11% off what? 81 rupees. It's a prototype I am working on. All right, 11.11% is what? 1 by 9th off. What is that? 81 rupees. All right, which would become 9 rupees. Good. Add these two, becomes the revised principal for the second year. Good. Okay. For the entire second year, how much I get? Let me calculate that. Second year, right? In the second year, you get 1 by 9th of 90 rupees. 90 rupees. All right, now what is this 90 rupees? 81 plus 9, add them, because the principal is going to be revised every year under the compound interest scheme. Look, this is how you use the concepts, because all right, you can't use this by using the formula. It becomes a mess. All right, if you want to solve this question by using the formula, it's a messy question. But if you just know the approach, it's one of the simplest question, because you understand the concept very well, right? Yeah, interest for the second year, 1 by 9th of 90. What is 1 by 9th of 90, friends? 10 rupees. Hey, what is this 10 rupees? 10 rupees is for the entire second year, but you are withdrawn at the end of 6 months. You did not keep it for the entire second year. Good. Therefore, half of the second year. Half of the second year means I just have to do 10 by 2. I will say that 5 rupees. I will get the 5 rupees here. All right, 5 rupees here. Therefore, what is the total interest earned? 9 rupees for the first year and the 5 rupees for the second year, half year. So half of the second year, not the full second year would have given you 10 rupees, but you did only 6 months of the second year. During the tenure of second year, you just kept it only for the 6 months. 6 months is half of it, therefore 10 by 2, all right, which becomes 5 rupees. Therefore 9 plus 5, already you are saying that 9 plus 5, that is the total interest earned. What do you mean? Now this is what you mean here. Look, if I start with the principal of 81, at the end of 1.5 years, the cumulative total interest earned is 9 plus 5, 14 rupees is what I am earning. 14 rupees is what I am earning. But according to the author, author is saying that, man, you did not start with 81 rupees as the principal. You started with 16200 as the principal. Fine. If it is 16200 as the principal, which means into 200, that's a multiplying factor. All right, into 200. Good. So what I should do on the interest? Do it into 200. All right, do it into 200, which becomes 2800. All right, 2800. Right? Yeah. So therefore, you say that the interest is nothing but 2800. I add up these two numbers, but thereby I'll get my amount. Simple one. Right? Even if they trick us with saying that, hey, give me for 1.5 years, give me for 2.5 years, absolutely no problem. If you know the approach, all right, you don't have to bother too much. All right, now these can be some of the trick questions that can be asked in the exam. Even if all right, they make it 1.5 years, etc., nothing to panic. It can be handled with ease. All right, you just have to know the approach there. Right? Okay, let's go further. Let's go further. Let's go further. Beautiful question. Take a minute, think about it. You can directly use the multipliers also, no problem. You can use the multiplier. I just made you aware of two methods, multiplier. The other method is also a function of multiplier only. It's no different. Therefore, multiplier is the key in CI, compound interest. Yeah, making sense. Okay, what's happening? There's a man who invest 5,000 for how long? 3 years, 5% per annum. All right, now CI done yearly. All right, annual scheme. All right, not a quarterly scheme or half yearly scheme. Yearly scheme. Good. Income tax at the rate of 20% on the interest earned, only on the interest amount. All right, whatever the interest is earning, 20% of which, all right, 20% of interest earned is deducted at the end of each year. Why? What happens in the compound interest scheme? At the end of every year, the principal is going to be revised. Just before the principal gets revised, all right, now what they are doing is they're deducting the tax, and then they are revising the principal. Right now, that's what is happening. Therefore, what is his effective interest earned in that case? Now look at this. His interest earned is 5%. All right, now 5%. Okay, 5%. What is 5%, friends? 1 by 20. All right, fraction wise, what is 5%? Is the going to be 1 by 20. Good. Okay, now look at this. What is happening here? So 20% of whatever he's earning 1 by 20th of the principal. Right now, there is a principal, of course. He's earning 1 by 20th of the principal as the interest component. Interest for the year is nothing but 1 by 20. What is 1 by 20? 5%, right? 5%. All right, 1 by 20 is nothing but 5% of this particular 20%. Right now, he's earning this at 1 by 20. Now what is happening on this? On this, 20% is going as an interest. If 20% is going as an interest, all right, 20% is going an interest, then what is the retention? Retention is 80%. Then the retention is 80%. Great. What is 80%, friends? 80% is nothing but 4 divided by 5. All right, retention is nothing but 4 divided by 5. Just think about this. Think about this. What does it mean here? 4 by 100. So principal into 4 by 100. What is 4 by 100? 4%. Which means technically you are trying to say that, look, all right, now it was, if it is 20% goes as a 20% of which has been taken as the income tax. All right, if I pay the income tax of 20% of the interest that I'm earning, then technically I'll be left with 4% as the net interest I'm earning. All right, net interest I'm earning is only 4%, because all right, now the 20% of whatever I'm earning as the compound interest is going as the income tax. Now that's a point is author is trying to make. Therefore, I can do this calculation directly from here. Therefore, you will say that, okay, amount. All right, find the amount at the end of the third year. You may start with 5,000. You may start with 5,000. 4% is the now the net rate of net interest getting added every year is nothing but 4%. What is 4%, friends? 1 divided by 25. 4% is nothing but 1 divided by 25. Already, therefore, what is the multiplier? Multiplier is nothing but 26 divided by 25. What is this? That's a multiplier. So you may say that at the end of 3 years, it is going to be 26 by 25. 26 by 25. I need to add this. I need to consider this multiplier how many times? 3 times. I need to consider this 3 times, right? Now, so this is the calculation that is required. Probably 26 square is what you will know. 26 cube you might not know. It will take a little bit of time to calculate this. Right? It might take a little bit of time to calculate this, because 25s can cut off this particular number 5,000, but you will be definitely left with that number, right, which is now 26 cube. All right, that is there. So that calculation would give you the answer. Okay, my point with this particular question is not doing a calculation of 26 cube. That can be done. That's multiplication is not a worry. My point here is, okay, they may add some points like, okay, income tax I will deduct, etc., etc. Don't panic. You will know the concepts. Just apply those concepts. You'll be able to do them. Right now, you had 5%, 20% of which is going. All right, out of this 5% that you are earning, 20% you are paying as a tax. Therefore, 80% of 5% is what will be left. So what is 80% of 5%? Technically becomes 4%. Simple mental calculation. Once you get this 4%, you can proceed from there, right? Yeah, good. Let's go to the next one, friends. Let's go to the next one here. Let's go to the next one. Think about this very beautiful question. We did one similar kind of question when we on simple interest. Pretty similar kind of question on compound interest. We did on one simple interest. where the man was distributing or giving a will so that the amount becomes equal when the children attain 21 years. Similar kind of question. Think about this. I guess you are able to write this. Okay, there is a person who is divided, already now is divided between Sham and Ram such that Sham's share at the end of 9 years is equal to, again the word is equal to Ram's share at the end of 11 years. The shares are going to be equal. So let's say already now let's not bother about this money. As of now, let's not worry about this money. Let's say that Sham is going to get S rupees out of this. Ram is going to get R rupees out of this. Fair enough. All right, now so at the end of 9 years, use the multiplier because the scheme is compound interest, compounded annually. Compound interest is the scheme. Okay, what is the rate of interest, friends? The rate of interest is 5%. All right, now therefore, what is the multiplier? Multiplier, all right, now 5%. The multiplier is nothing but 21 by 21. 21 by 20. That's a multiplier. Because what is 5%? 1 by 20. That's a fraction. 5% means 1 by 20. When I compare, when I convert to the multiplier, it would become 21 by 20. That's a number, right? Perfect. So let's now take a look here. Sham and Ram. So now he's saying that tell me the share of Sham. Sure, we will find this. Sham, how long? Well, now Sham for 9 years. So 9 years, therefore Sham, yes. Well, then you will say multipliers. What is the multiplier? 21 by 20 raised to power 9 is also equal to, amount is equal, that's amount deposited in the name of the Sham, because he gave S rupees to Sham, and then now that went on to be deposited for 9 years. It turned out to be an amount. Whereas for Ram, now it's deposited for 11 years. Fine. 21 by 20 raised to power 11. Use law of indices. Therefore, you will say that Sham by Ram is equal to 21 by 20 whole square. That's a Sham. That's a share. All right. The ratio. Okay, again, the ratio. Sham by Ram in the ratio of this. Therefore, Sham by Ram is nothing but 441. All right, divided by 400. 441 divided by 400. Right. That's a money. All right. That's how it gets. All right. Technically, what you're trying to say is Sham, Ram, and total. I taught you this in the ratios chapter. Sham is 441. All right. Ram is 400. Together, all right, 841. Together 841 total. But author said that man, it is not 841. Total is not 841. Prototype, it is not 841. You got to distribute 5887. You got to distribute 5887 among these folks, right? So what is the factor of multiplication, friends? 7 times. All right, factor of multiplication is 7 times. Do exactly the same thing here. Into 7 times gives the value of Sham. All right, now therefore you will say that 3087. 3087 is going to be the share of Sham. If it is Ram, multiply this by 7, all right, which becomes the 2800, which is the share of, all right, which is going to be share of Ram. All right, which is going to be share of Ram. Simple one, pretty simple one. All right, straightforward, simple one. Right. So therefore, they cannot complicate it too much. They can only give certain numbers and they can make us so go a little round about it. But can simple interest, compound interest be complicated too much? Of course not, because there is not too much of a concept to complicate there. Right. Let's do a little more. Let's do a little more here. Right, sometimes compounding is done half yearly, sometimes the compounding is done quarterly. Just remember, if I promise 20% rate of interest per annum, 20% rate of interest, I'm talking about rate. Right, rate of interest is 20% per annum. So if I want to do it half yearly, remember, right, if I want to do it half yearly, if I want to do it half yearly, half year compounding is done half yearly. I will not give 20% for half year. Simple. Half yearly means 20% by 2. That is the rate of interest half yearly. Not 10% per annum, 10% half yearly. Okay. Same question. What if I do quarterly? Quarterly, 4 quarters in a year. Therefore, you would take the same 20%. You will divide by 4, and you say that okay, it's going to be 5% quarterly. Hey, what if I want to do it for a month? Alright, now what is monthly? 20 divided by 12. Alright, 20 divided by 12, and so on. Okay. What happened to the duration? Now listen to me carefully, friends. Listen to me. What happened on the duration is you start off. Alright, now you start here. You start here. At the end of 6 months, your principal keeps changing. You start with the principal P. It earns, already it earns an interest I. It earns an interest I1. It earns an interest I1 at whatever the rate of interest that you decide for the 6 months. Right? It earns an I1. So it changes, the principal changes at the end of 6 months. It becomes P1. What is P1 technically? P plus I1 becomes the new principal. Okay. At the end of 12 months, that's nothing but 1 year. At the end of 12 months, what happens? It earns another interest called as I2, because interest also keeps changing because you are changing the principal at the same rate of interest, but the interest keeps changing. P1 plus I2, all right, that becomes a new principal which becomes P2. All right, that's what you mean by compounding. Now look at this. You kept it actually technically for 1 year, but how many compounding periods were there, friends? 2. All right, there is one period I1 is on. There is another period I2 is on. Therefore, all right, if you say, all right, now how did you write the amount for compound interest earlier? There is a principal. There is a principal. 1 plus r percent raised to power n. All right, now raised to power n. If you keep it for n years at the rate of r percent per annum, this is how you wrote the amount. Assume that same n years you wanted to keep. You still wanted to keep the same 2 years, let's say. You want already n was 2 years. Same 2 years you wanted to keep, but the number of compounding periods in 2 years are going to be 4, because every 6 months it is going to change. How do you write the amount therefore? If it is done half yearly, all right, compounding is done yearly. All right, now this is yearly. Yearly, same n years. Assume that n was 2 years in this case. All right, now you decided that, hey man, this time it is going to be half yearly. If it is half yearly, then you say pins principal 1 plus r percent by 2, because for every half year I will give r percent by 2. But number of compounding periods will become 2n, because there will be 2 compounding periods in 1 year. Therefore there will be 2n compounding periods. Good. Yeah, what if it becomes quarterly? Quarter means what? All right, now 4 times in a year. Then the amount would become P 1 plus r percent divided by 4. Divided by 4. In a single year, there will be 4 compounding periods. Therefore, in n years, there will be 4n compounding periods, right? There are going to be 4n compounding periods. Perfect. All right, now all these are multipliers only. But how many multipliers to be used is the question mark, isn't it? How many multiplier to be used is the question mark. So here we go. Let's take a simple example. I guess already all of you sufficiently recall the concept from your high school. All this was high school concept, right? You would have recalled it. Now let's take one simple example on this, because there is no complication. Method remains same. Method remains same. No complication on this. All right, let's write a multiplier. 20%. Let's write a multiplier, because I said that man, rate of interest is the key here. 20%. All right, now compounding. All pay attention to the compounding. It is done half yearly. That is 20% is per annum. Per compounding period. What is the percentage per compounding period? You say that 10% per compounding period. What is CP? Compounding period, because compounding period is half yearly. Therefore 10% for half year, because 20% is for 1 year. Therefore 10% for this. What is the multiplier, friends? Multiplier is going to be 11 by 10, because 10% is nothing but 1 by 10. What is the multiplier for this? 11 by 10. Don't write the multiplier for 20%. All right, now 20%, which is 6 by 5. Don't write it. Write 11 by 10. That is the multiplier for half year, for 6 months. 18 months means how many compounding period? 3 compounding periods. You start here. 6 months, 1 compounding period, right? Then you will write it as 12 months, second compounding period. Then you write 18 months. All right, 3 compounding, first, second, and third, 3 compounding periods, which means multiplier should be used 3 times. Simply, all right, simply the multiplier should be used 3 times. Good. So therefore, amount is going to be principal, multiplier to be used 3 times. So what is the principal? Given to me as 1000. Use it. Principal is given to me as 1000. Let's use it. Amount is 1000 principal. Then you are using the multiplier how many times? 3 times. 11 by 10. 11 by 10 and 11 by 10. Technically 11 cube by 10 cube. 1000 gets cancelled with this. 1000 is cut off. Therefore, you say that the amount is nothing but 1331. That is the amount that you are earning, which will be better than earning per annum. Earning per annum. Definitely it will be better than earning per annum. So therefore, you are earning an amount which is equivalent of 1331. Simple. It's still the compounding issue, but you just have to revise the rate of interest for the compounding period. What is the rate of interest per compounding period? Then in 18 months, you got to understand that how many multipliers I should use. How many multipliers I should use. All right, these are the only 2 things that you got to consider. Simple one. I guess everybody is good enough, quick enough to understand this. Okay, now let's come back to the third parameter. We finished 2 parameters. Third leg, last leg of the operation. This is the last leg. Difference between simple interest and compound interest. Right? With this, we will try and understand and close it. We are into the last part of the study today. Difference between simple interest and compound interest for 2 years and 3 years. Let's understand this. Now, listen to me very, very carefully, friends. Listen to me very, very carefully on how the simple interest and the compound interest work. I will put a chart out here. I will put a chart out here, simple chart out here for you. I'll put a simple chart, but I want you to very keenly observe this particular chart. Now, if it is a simple interest, this is how it looks. Now, listen to me very, very carefully here. If it is a simple interest, the scheme is simple interest. Let me do it for 2 years first. Let me do it for 2 years. Let me take 1000. Let me take 1000 as an example. Let me take 1000 as an example, and 10% as the rate of interest. Principal 1000. Scheme is simple interest. Principal 1000. Rate of interest. R percent is rate of interest is 10%. 10%. Let's write for 2 years part. Let know. So principal, you start with 1000. What was this principal? At the end of year 1, listen to me, only the interest I'm interested. Interest. At the end of year 1, the interest is 100. At the end of year 2, you get another 100. Alright, you get another 100. Good. So let me go now to the compound interest. Alright, now same scheme, just write it as CI. This data is same. This data is same. The scheme is compound interest. Observe this. Principal 1000. Now listen to me. Principal 1000. I'm just putting the same information in a different sense. In a different sense. Okay. Year 1. Interest for the year 1. What do you do interest for the year 1? You write it as 100. Now look, year 2. Now listen, friends. This is where I want you to understand. Year 2. What happens on the year 2 is both numbers yield their 10%. They contribute 10% of their capacity. Okay, let me take the first number, that is 1000. Hey, what is the 10% of their capacity? 100 rupees plus. Hey, what is the 10% of this 100's capacity? 10 rupees. Well, that becomes 10 rupees. Now listen to me. What is the difference therefore? What is the difference in the interest here? Difference the interest is from here. I should observe the line below this. Right now, difference. Right now, year 1, 100 rupees is here. 100 rupees is here. There is no difference for the year 1. Year 2, 100 rupees is here. 100 rupees is here. The difference is this 10. The difference is this 10. Now, no, that's a 10. That's what I say that, okay, if I say that, hey, what is the difference between the compound interest for 2 years and the simple interest for 2 years? On 1000 rupees at the rate of 10% per annum. You would have said this circled figure, 10 rupees, you would have shouted. You would have shouted 10 rupees on this. Now, let me put it to perspective in a generic sense here. Let me put it in a perspective in a generic sense. SI scheme I'm writing here. SI scheme I'm writing. If you start with a principal called P, at the end of year 1, you write R% of the principal. You write R% of the principal. What is that? Interest, right? What is the interest for the second year? Another R% of the principal. No change. Very good. Now, let me write it for the compound interest, friends. Compound interest. You started with principal. At the end of year 1, you write R% of the principal. Corresponding values. This 100 corresponds to R% of the principal. Year 2, you got to write 2 values, isn't it? You got to write 2 values. You got to write R% of the principal. I put a tick there, R% of the principal. Then you got to write R% of whatever is this particular bracket, in this particular bracket, plus. That's what you are writing. R% of R% of principal. R% of principal. Now listen to this. Now this is what was getting cancelled. This portion was same as this portion. This portion is same as this portion. Now this is the extra portion which was not available under the simple interest scheme but available under the compound interest scheme. Now listen to me. All right, this is how you will learn to write. Therefore, compound interest for 2 years minus simple interest for 2 years on a particular sum for all and on a particular sum at a particular rate of interest is going to be, what is this? R percentage whole square times of principal. I want you to remember this. Compound interest for 2 years and simple interest for 2 years is nothing but rate of interest, or R percentage whole square times of principal. Okay. Similarly, you can work it up to 3 years, but I will not show it to you. You can work it out. You can extend that and you can, hey, can I do for year 3? Yeah, you can do for year 3. Right, for year 3. Do the same calculation there. Absolutely no problem. What you get here is this. Compound interest for 3 years. For 3 years, which means up to 3 years. Compound interest for 3 years minus simple interest for 3 years. Compound interest for 3 years minus simple interest for 3 years is going to be, please remember this, friends, R percentage whole cube times of principal. R percentage whole cube times of principal plus 3 times of R percentage whole square times of principal. I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this. Okay, now listen to me. All right, I want to remember these two. See, because there is hardly anything to remember here. I can't be reluctant to say that, hey, I don't even want to remember this. Come on, all right, now this is one of the important parameters here, right? Therefore, all right, now this is something that you got to remember. Okay, here, hey, can I also say that compound interest for the second year minus simple interest for the second year? Only second year, friends. Second year. I don't want to have the first year. Great. Compound interest for the second year and the simple interest for the second year is going to be same. It is going to be same. Remember, it is going to be the same, because first year was anyway same and it got cancelled because this is the first year. First year was anyway same because the difference was anyway coming in the second year. All right, what was this? For 2 years, up to 2 years, up to 2 years, compound interest up to 2 years minus simple interest up to 2 years. Can also be other way, it can also be said as compound interest for the second year, only for the second year, minus simple interest for the second year. I can only talk about the second year, which remains same. However, if I say that compound interest for the third year, only third year, I don't want to talk about what happened in the first and second year. Compound interest for the third year minus simple interest for the third year. All right, third year would be, all right, only one change will come here. R percentage whole cube times of principal. That was as it is, this bracket. However, this 3 will change to 2 times of R percentage whole square times of P for the third year. Just in case if I talk only about the third year, this is what you are going to project it right now. Yeah, this is something I want you to remember. All right, this is something I want you to remember. Let's go to the drills. All right, let's quickly go to the drill here. Let's quickly go to the drill. Let's quickly go to the drill. Right, yeah, I will just project it, try and absorb this information. Absorb this. Let's go to the drill. Yeah, here we go. Do it with me. Rate of interest is 20% per annum. Compound interest for 2 years minus simple interest for 2 years is 120. Why don't you tell me what is the principal? That's a question, right? Why don't you tell me what's the principal? We know directly here. Compound interest for 2 years. We directly know this. Compound interest for 2 years minus simple interest for 2 years is nothing but R percentage whole square times of principal. Is R given to me? Of course, yes. Right now, can I write it in the form of a fraction? You can. Right now, what is R here? 20%. What is 20%, friends? 1 by 5. 20% is 1 by 5. Good, I can write it here. The difference, is it given to me? Yes, it is given to me as 120. 120 is equal to 1 by 5 whole square times of principal. 1 by 20 is nothing but 1 by 5 whole square times of principal, R percentage, which is 1 by 5 whole square times of principal. Therefore, principal is equal to 120 into 25. All right, principal is nothing but 120 into 25, all right, which is nothing but 3000. All right, that was the principal. The principal was 3000 there. Right, principal was 3000. Pretty simple question, because if I know this particular key, I can close it within no time. I just have to know this key, right? I just have to know this key. Let's go a little deeper. You understood, you got the orientation to this. Now listen, all right, now we are here. All right, we are here on this for the third year. Yeah, think about it. I already gave the key. If you remember the key, apply it quickly. Apply it. Everybody apply it. If you remember the key. Apply it. Yeah, good. Do it with me. It's only for the third year. All right, now for third year, not up to 3 years, not compound interest up to 3 years. No, only for the third year. We learned that compound interest for the third year, minus simple interest for the third year. We learned about this, right? Third year is nothing but R percentage whole cube times of principal plus 2 times of R percentage whole square times of principal. You would have done this. Yeah, good. All it now R percentage is given. All it now fraction form is 1 by 6. No worries. All it now, what is this particular number? 520, which is nothing but 1 by 6 whole cube. 6 cube, all of us know. All of us know. So plus, all it now 2 times of 1 by 6 whole square times of principal. Therefore, I get the principal. Okay, even before you do that, all it now, one other way to deal with this is what? You can say that I'll multiply throughout by 6 cube. Absolutely no problem. You can do that. All right, simplification perspective. 6 cube times of 120 is nothing but P plus 2 times of 6p. You would have written something like this, 2 times of 6p. You would have written this. Well, therefore, you say that, hey, 13 times of p is nothing but 6 cube times of 520. Right? Yeah, therefore, 13 4 times. All right, now, therefore, you will say that, hey, this is nothing but 2, 1. All right, therefore, p is nothing but, all right, therefore, p is nothing but, all right, p is nothing but 4216 into 40. Right, 216 into 40. Right, yeah, so therefore you will say that this is 8640. That is the principal, 8640. That's one way to deal with this. All right, that is one way to deal with this. Okay, I don't remember the formula. I will just give another way to deal with this, friends. Another way to deal with this. Again, go here, 6. All right, now you know the rate of interest. What is that? 1 by 6, you wrote it. That 6 in the denominator is important for me. 6 in the denominator is important for me. Good. So how many years, friends? 3 years. How many years? 3 years. Good. Therefore, what you should imagine, you will take the prototype method. I'm teaching the prototype method. P is equal to 6q. Yeah, why 6q? Because in the denominator I have 6, because that's from the rate of interest. And what I have in the number of years, I have it as 3. All right, therefore take it as 6q. That is 216. Perfect. All right, that's 216. Now, compound interest for the first year. A compound interest, I'm writing for CI scheme, guys. I'm writing for the CI scheme. Yeah, what is the interest for the first year? Interest for the first year is 1 by 6, because this is a 1 by 6 is the rate of interest. 1 by 6 times of 216, that is nothing but 36. Good. Hey, what is the principal for the next year? Add these two fellows. Add these two fellows. That becomes the revised principal, because interest for the second year is also going to be 1 by 6 times of, but not the same number 216. It is going to be the revised principal. That is 216 plus 36. Right now that becomes 252. All right, that becomes 252. Good. All right, that is what is this interest therefore. All right, therefore this is nothing but 42 rupees. That's the interest that you are getting. Fair enough. Hey, what is the interest for the third year? Now you are calculating interest for the third year. How do I get? Now add this 42 with the previous principal. Just add it here. This was the previous principal. Otherwise you can add 216 plus 36 plus 42. All these three numbers can be added, no problem. Another way is what? Hey, you know the previous principal, you got the interest, add it to that principal. That becomes the new principal. All right, that becomes the revised principal. Sure. Hey, what is the rate of interest promised? Still 1 by 6th only. Okay, 1 by 6th of. All right, 1 by 6th of what? All right, now to add up these two particular numbers, therefore that becomes 294. 294. All right, what is this? Therefore, what is the interest going to be here? Right now, this is not good. This is going to be 49 rupees. Right, 49. Good. But what is the simple interest for the first year, friends? Let me go to SI. Let me go to SI. Hey, what is the interest for the first year? What is the principal? 216. That is not going to change, right? Good. Yeah, 216 already now. So what? 1/6 of 216, which is nothing but 36 rupees. Now, what is the interest for the third year? What is the interest for the third year? Same interest for the first year is same as interest for the third year, which is going to be 36 again. Good. Now look at the difference. Therefore, what is the difference between the compound interest and the simple interest for the third year? Or you say that, okay, that is nothing but 13 rupees. Let the interest difference is nothing but 13 rupees. That's a prototype, friends. That is the prototype. Okay, when the principal is 216, all right, compound interest for the third year minus simple interest for the third year is going to be 13 rupees. But what did author say? Man, the difference is 520 rupees. 520 rupees. Therefore, into what? Into 40. Therefore, what I should be doing? I should be doing 216 into 40. That is what precisely you did using formula. That is what precisely you did. Therefore, nothing to panic. Whatever the concepts I taught you, if you just remember those concepts, using that you can do. There is absolutely no harm. In case you forget the formula, this is the method. I already gave the method how to deal with the compound interest there. Right? That's fine. If you remember the formula, you can deal with this method. Right now, this question I tried to do it in multiple methods so that you are clear with your drill, whichever the method that you practice and apply. Right? Yeah. So fair enough. So let's go to the question here. Let's take a look at this particular question. Right, so we understood on this. I'll give a minute. Yes, guys, we're into the last 20-25 minutes of the lecture. Push yourself. Push yourself. We're almost about to be done. It's a nice feeling, right? Yeah, as a human, you get a very nice feeling when you know that you are about to finish the task. You get that burst of energy, and you actually accomplish much more in the last 20-25 minutes, as I keep telling you this. Right, read this question. Yeah, okay, so this person has some saving, right, at the end of a month or whenever. All right, now this person seems to have some savings here. What did he do? All right, now he put them into two schemes. He had a saving. So he divided, let's say his saving was S. He divided them into two parts, two principles. All right, now two principles, P and P plus P. One P, he put it in SI scheme. That's what, if you read that story. One P, he put it under SI scheme. One P, he put it under CI scheme. Therefore, what is the savings? 2P is the saving. That's what you need to find out. What was the value of the total saving? Total saving means find S. What is S? 2P is the value of S. Okay, let's take all it. Now the principal is nothing but what? All it now principal that he has kept under SI. There is the same amount he has kept under the CI. The rate of interest is also same. Both only the schemes are different. Principal remains same. The rate of interest also remains same. Thereby, he got two different earnings. Already, he got two different earnings. In the SI scheme for 2 years, he earned 550. CI scheme for 2 years, he earned 605. Now, listen very carefully. Now, what is this 250, guys? So, therefore, the structures are important. If you don't get the structure right, using only formulas will definitely take you much more time. Now, look at the structure. What was the structure? Interest for the first year. Interest for the first year and interest for the second year is same under the SI scheme, SI scheme. So what was that? 550 divided by 2. 550 divided by 2, 275 and 275. That is the SI scheme. Same thing under the CI scheme. What has happened? Interest for the first year, interest for the second year, because the principal remains same. Here also 275, here also 275, but interest the second year had R% of interest for the first year added to it. Interest for the first year added to it. Why? Because this 275 is R% of what? Principal. That was R% of principal. Hey, what was all it now? This come here. All it will understand this. What is this 275? R% of principal. Neither I know the principal nor I know R%, but I know R% of principal. R% of principal is 275. Perfect. Now what is this 275? Same R% of principal. Now what is this 275? R% of principal. What is this 275? R% of principal. Hey, what is this extra you used to get? R% of whatever the interest you used to get in the first year, that gets added up. That's what I showed in the structure sometime back to you. Alright, when I wrote the structures, alright, that is what I precisely showed to you, something like this. Right now here, alright, now this is where you have. Alright, now this is what I showed to you. Hey, they get cancelled, man. Alright, now you get R% of principal. That's what I showed it here. Alright, I showed this 10. How did I get this 10? This 10 is because of 10% of this particular number. Right, I showed you there. Now precisely that is what I am writing here. See, this structure you got to remember. You got to have a photographic memory. You got to take this picture of this structure in your mind. Otherwise, solving some of the simpler questions will simply get cumbersome. Alright, that simply becomes cumbersome. Alright, here we go. I guess you got my point. You got my point. Here we go. Alright, now therefore it becomes R% of 275. What was that extra? Now look at this 605. So let's go back to this, let's go to this 605. What was this 605? So if I add 275 and 275, these two components is 550. These two components is 550. And therefore, what was this component? 605, 605 minus 550. Minus 550, all right, which is nothing but 55. You got your answer. That's what author was trying to tell using these numbers. Using these numbers, author is trying to tell us that, man, R% of 275 is 55. That is what author was trying to tell us. And therefore, what is R? R is nothing but 20. Nothing but 20%. That's the rate of interest. We can calculate R by 100 times of 275 is 55. You get R is equal to 20%. No rocket science. You will get it as 20%. Good. All right. Now, therefore, you will understand. Now, go back to this interest. Now, go back to this interest. What was this 275? What was this 275? 20% of principal is equal to 275. That's what you are precisely trying to tell me. All right, that's 20% of the principal. What is 20% of the principal? 1 by 5 times of principal is 275. Therefore, what is principal, friends? All right, therefore, what is principal? Principal is nothing but 1375. This is the principal. 1375 was the principal, and 1375 is the principal. What is this total savings? Therefore, 2 times of principal. All right, 2 times of principal. All right, therefore you are saying that it is nothing but 2750. That is the amount is started with. Simple question. The structure has to be in your mind to solve this. If you get the structure right in your mind, okay, this is the structure between SI and CI, the comparative structure which I showed you some time back. If you get that structure in mind, you could have written this pretty directly. You could have written this line pretty directly. R% of 275 is equal to 55, and you will put a closure. Alright, this is all you would have written. Already you would have done this particular closure. This 275 you will divide by 2 and you get it. And this 55 you get the difference between these two numbers. You get it. And then you know that in your mind from the structure you know that R% of 275 is 55 and you put a closure to this. Already you have done a closure to this. Right, yeah. So therefore that structure, there is nothing much in compound interest, but getting those structures properly, understanding those 2-3 concepts which are involved there properly would definitely give a mileage to your understanding. Right, great. All right, now let's take another one. Let's take another one, simple one. Let's take another one. I guess everybody's getting along. Let's take this. Take 30 seconds, read this. Yeah, got it? Got the idea? All right, let's do that. He's asking that find the rate of interest. Idea is to find, question is find rate of interest. Good. So what is given to me? What is given to me is this: compound interest for 2 years minus simple interest for 2 years divided by compound interest for 3 years minus simple interest for 3 years is 11 divided by 37. Nothing wrong. He spoke the way he is supposed to be speaking. Pretty good. So what I do is I'll just put this ratio reverse. I'll just put this ratio reverse, friends. So I'll just put this reverse. For the ease of calculation, I will put it reverse. That's it. All right, I'll put it reverse because I already know the formula. Let me just put it reverse. Reverse means what? 3 years, 3 years, 2 years, 2 years, then reverse this 37 by 11. Nothing. I'll know the same thing. I just put this inverse. I wrote the inverse of this. I just put the other way around, upside down. So therefore, I change the number on LHS, RHS. I'll do the same operation. Therefore, no effect. So this is what it would become. Great. Keep this in mind. Let's keep this in mind. What is compound interest for 3 years minus simple interest for 3 years? This is what you write, isn't it? What is compound interest for 3 years minus your numerator part? You write this as R percentage whole cube, R percentage whole cube plus 3 times of R percentage whole square times of P. All right, P is already there. Okay, let me write it here, no problem. P divided by, all right, compound interest and simple interest for 2 years is nothing but R percentage whole square times of P, which is equal to 37 by 11. Okay, just R percentage by whole square times of P, please cancel it. It looks something like this. In that case, it looks something like this: 3 plus, 3 plus, all right, 3 plus R percentage, 3 plus R percentage divided by 1, because what did you do? R percentage square by P, you cancelled it. All right, divided by 1 is also nothing but I'm doing the same operation on the other side. On the other side, 37 by this. All right, now let me write it 37 by 11. This is nothing but 3 plus R percentage is equal to 3 plus, all right, 11. 11 3 times 33. Remainder, all right, the remainder 4 by 11. All right, you wrote it as 4 divided by 11. So what happened here, guys? 3 percentage and 3 percentage got cancelled. 3 plus 3 got cancelled. You directly got the answer. No, so you wanted the rate of interest. Find rate of interest. You have the number in the fraction form. What is 1 by 11? 9.09. Therefore, what is 4 by 11? 36.36%. All right, that is the value of R. R percentage is nothing but 36.36%. What was that? Nothing much, nothing much. We just knew this part directly. Compound interest for 3 year, difference between the compound interest and simple interest for 3 years. We knew compound interest and simple interest for 2 years, the difference also we knew. Therefore, we can just put that arithmetic or that calculation into perspective. We will get our answers directly from there. Right, directly from there. Great. All right, now all of you should be enjoying and learning from here. Let's go further. Let's take it further. Let's take it further. That's about the difference part. That's about the difference part. Let's do one or two odd questions. The fillers. Call it the fillers. Maybe if you are interested, I will take another concept after this, then we'll stretch the class by maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, but I will make a point there. Let's do this. A sum kept in a bank gets tripled in 5 years. We already did this on SI, friends. I already taught you on SI. This question I did on SI. Why I taking this particular question, same model, when I consider from CI perspective, how does it look? That's all we are trying to discuss. A sum kept in a bank gets tripled in 5 years. Good. In how many years would the sum become 9 times? All right, would the sum become 9 times? First, let's do SI because we did it. Just a quick revision. So what's happening here? There is a P. All right, there is a value called P. So tripled, which means amount. Amount is 3P. So amount is 3P. Via what, guys? Via what? This is the amount, right? You started with the principal. Then you have an amount. What is via media? The via media is, of course, you add interest to it, right? So what is given to me is this: principal is P, amount has become 3P, tripled means 3P. What is the interest earned? Therefore, interest earned is 2P. 2P is the interest earned. To earn 2P, how many years they wanted? 5 years. All right, 5 years, because the amount is 3P. In that P is yours only, right? That's your principal only. How much the earnings are? Earnings are 2P. So for 2P, how long did it take? 5 years. To 2P, how long did it take? 5 years. Good. So now the amount should become how many times? 9 times, which means P is your money. P is your money, so it should become 9p. All right, 9p is the amount. And therefore, what is the interest, friends? What should be the interest? Interest should be 8p. All right, interest should be 8p here. All right, p plus 8p. Now look at this. 2p requires simple calculation, right? 2p requires 5 years. This 2p requires 5 years. 5 years. 8p requires how many years? Linearity. All right, now this is a linearity issue. So 8p means 4 times. The effort is 4 times. If the effort is 4 times, make this 5 also 4 times. Therefore, 20 years. All right, therefore 20 years. This I already discussed in SI. All right, it's a pure repetitive of what I'm doing, right? Repetitive of this. Okay, however, same question on CI. Pay attention. Same question on CI. How do I look at it? Principal, because what happens in the CI, what happens in CI is your principal keeps changing at the end of the compounding period. What I do is I make a bundle of lock-in period of 5 years. I lock it for 5 years, right? Which means 5 years is nothing but 1 year. It's kind of, right? It's a lock-in period. Lock-in period. P has become 5p. P has become, sorry, P has become 3p. I locked it. Locked it for how long? 5 years. Locked it. All right, 5 years. 5 years is a bundle. All right, put it together. It's a bundle. If I lock it for 5 years, it becomes 3p. Good. All right, now therefore 3p becomes the new principal. This 3p becomes the new principal. Locking is 5 years, which means a cluster. There is no year concept. 5 years is the concept. That's it. Right? Therefore 5 years. All right, just like the graduation, 3 year is the concept. There is nothing like 1 year. After 3 year only, they'll give the graduation. Right now, so graduate, you become graduate, or it can be 4 years. In some courses, it can be 5 years. Depend. Like that, the locked. All right, once you get into that course, it's locked. Similarly, 5 years becomes one cluster. Why it should be every year? Fine. 5 years is also fine. Can I take a cluster as 5 years? Absolutely fine. All right, fine. 5p becomes 3p. That becomes the new principal. 3p is the new principal. Great. 3p is the new principal. What is the concept here, friends? In 5 years, what happens to the money? It triples. Tripling is the concept. It triples. All right, because what is the concept here? Fine. I keep for 5 years. Then the question is what happens? It triples. It triples. Good. So it triples. Now there is a 3p. What should happen? It should triple. It should triple in another 5-year period, because another lock-in period of 5 years. It should triple. What is 3 times of 3p? 9p. What is 3 times of 3p? Which becomes 9p, because you locked it. All right, now therefore you say that, okay, in the second case, in the first case you said 20 years. In the first case you said 20 years. 20 years it requires to become 9 times. Whereas in the second case, what you are trying to say? You are saying that, man, 5 years plus 5 years. You are saying that 10 years is enough for this. 10 years is enough for this. Okay, on this, let's look at a math. Let's look at the math. Okay, this is the logic. This is the logic. Technically, it should be done using this logic. Technically, it should be done like this. But yeah, you should not be ignorant of math. That's my point. Therefore, I always put in that math element in one of the questions. First question, maybe. If I do it repeatedly, I will use the best possible method. But let me put it to the math. If I put the math on this, or let's CI. I'm talking about CI. Or let's CI, because I say I've already shown math. I've already shown tripled. All right, now it looks like this. Amount is 3p. P is the principal. 1 plus r percent raised to power 5. Good. P and P are cancelled. Therefore, what you say? 3 is equal to 1 plus r percent raised to power 5. Conclusion. Keep it. Keep it. What does author want? 9 times. Go to the question step. Sum should become 9 times, which means what is author's expectation? Author's expectation is this. 9p. Sum should become 9p. Amount is equal to principal 1 plus r percent raised to power. He is asking how many years. I'll say n years. All right, I'll say n years. Great. Therefore, P and P cancelled. P and P cancelled. Therefore, what you're trying to say? You're trying to say 9 is equal to 1 plus r percent raised to power n. Good. Now look at this. 3. I can write 3 like this, right? I can write a 3 like this. A 3 can be written like this. Hey, what is 9, friends? 9 is nothing but 3 square. Therefore, 3 square is equal to 1 plus r percent raised to power n. Hey, what is 3? 3 is nothing but 1 plus r percent raised to power 5. 3 square means what? You got to square it. Therefore, you will say that 3 square. 3 square means 1 plus r percent raised to power 5 whole square. Raised to power 5 whole square. What did I do? I substituted for 3 in terms of r here. Alright, now whole square is also equal to 1 plus r percent raised to power n. Good. Therefore, 5 into 2, law of indices. All of us know law of indices. 5 into 2, 10. Therefore, n is equal to 10. Therefore, n is equal to 10, because base is same. Base is same. Therefore, 10. That is what you wrote the answer as. That's a pure math. That's doing a math on this. Alright, nothing to hesitate. Math could look something like this. Alright, the math would look something like this. Good. Okay. So since you are all listening, I will do one more concept here. All right, now I will do one more concept, that is the installments. Let's close with installment. Let's do 2 problems in installment. It might take 10 minutes. It might take 10 minutes. Good. All right, if you can push yourself, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do some 2 questions on installments. That also gives you some idea, although it is rare in the exam. rare in the exam but cannot be ruled out in the exam. Therefore, let's be mindful of it and let's do this. Okay, so what is this concept built upon? All right, this concept is built upon the future value present value concept. What is this future value present value concept? Just listen to me first, don't bother to read that question, listen to me. Future value present value, two concepts, right? Amount, basically it is the question of principal versus amount. Question of principal versus amount. Principal versus amount. All right, so first let me take the SI scheme, guys. Let us take the SI scheme. It is the future value present value is nothing but, already no, present value is nothing but principal versus amount. Interest plays a role there in between, all right, but it's a concept of principal versus amount. Good. So let us say that the principal is X, principal is X, all right, principal is X. Okay, the amount, all right, amount at the end of n years, amount at the end of n years at the rate of R% is become Y. All right, SI is the scheme. What is the relationship between X and Y, guys? What is the relationship between X and Y? You will say that X, all right, X, you are moving forward, right? X 1 plus, all right, 1 plus R percentage times of N is equal to Y. This is the relationship between X and Y if the scheme is the simple interest scheme. If the scheme is the simple interest scheme, when you are moving from present value to future value, this is the present value, which is the principal X. What is this amount? The future value. All right, future value, present value to future value in the simple interest scheme. Simple interest scheme. Take the same one. Let us apply the concept to compound interest. There is a present value and there is going to be the future value. All right, there is a future value. All right, no future value. That's amount. Basically, all right, no the amounts you are equating. Present value is X. Present value of something is X. So future value it is going to be Y. So scheme is compound interest. Rate of interest is R% for n years. Future is n after n years from now. Yeah, what is the relationship between X and Y? You write like this: X 1 plus R% raised to power n is equal to Y. That's a relationship. You have an X and Y. What is the relationship between this X and Y? That's a via media. Via media is nothing but this box. This is the via media. All right, this is the via media. That's how you are relating them. That's how you are relating them. From here, hey, how can I, already if I know Y, already if I know Y, how can I reach X? By division. Already if you know Y, you can reach by division. That is X is equal to, you can say X is equal to Y divided by 1 plus R% times of N if it is an SI scheme. Same here, already X is also nothing but Y, because if you are traveling from Y to X, hey, what if you are traveling from future to present? Which means already I'm future, I'm promising something, I'm showing you a dream. Alright, therefore, how does it look in the present today? What is the present money of value of today? Therefore, Y is nothing but, alright, now Y divided by 1 plus R% raised to power n. Right now, so therefore, sometimes alright, that's what we do more often than not. We look at the future, then we prepare in the present. Reverse integration is what we do not only in finances, in all the areas. That's what your dream is also. Some of you want to alright now get into the IIMs or some of the top B schools, right here. So what do you do? Same dream. Basically, same dream. You are seeing a dream. Therefore, you are putting the today's effort. Today you are learning SICI. Today you are learning SICI. For what? To realize some future there. That exactly same thing here. So financially also same thing. You have some investment goals. You have the financial goals. I want to buy a car, buy a house, or have the retirement plan. Whatever is that. So keeping that in mind, you are investing today. You are investing today. That is X. All right. Now the Y is what you have seen in the dream. You wanted to have Y. Therefore, you are saying that, hey, what I should do for X today. All right, X is nothing but presently what I should do. That's a concept involved in installments. Let's go here, friends. All right, that's an installment. Present value, future value. Let's take a look at this question. Let's take a look at this question. Let's take a look at this question. Concept, that's a concept. Let's see how do I apply this concept. What annual equal payment, that's installment, will discharge a debt of 4,100 in 2 years at the rate of 5% compound interest. Compound interest is 5% per annum. Right now, so the annual discharge in 2 years at the rate of this annual equal payment will discharge this debt. Somebody has taken a debt. Say this is the present. Right, this is the present. In the present, somebody has taken a debt. What is the debt taken here? 4,100 rupees. That's a debt which is taken. So now you are promising that at the end of the first year, I will pay you a money called X. He also said that at the end of the second year, I will pay you same money called X. Thereby, I discharge the debt that is there. All right, now, therefore, definitely X is not 4,100 by 2. You can't say that, hey man, I will pay you 2050 year and I will pay you another 2050 year. No, in that case already is not interested to pay the 4,100 to you. Why should he give? Because already now, so in the future you are saying that I will give half of that at the end of the first year, second year. Who will pay the service charges? That's 5%. Alright, 5% compound interest. Who will pay? Alright, now you have to pay that service charges. You can't say that I'll pay half of that in the first year and half of that in the second year, which becomes my installment. No, of course not. It has to be more than 2050. Already it has to be more than 2050, right? Now, so let's understand what is that more. Therefore, what is that man is paying. Now come back to the present, friends. Where is your number, right? Where is your number? Your number is here. Already your number is already your present number is here. Therefore, what you should do, X, what you are willing to pay at the end of 1 year, say that what is the value of this in the present. Alright, now this is what I'm doing here. Alright, now this concept. Alright, this concept. Alright, now it was Y there. So if you bring it back, alright, what is that which would become? Alright, what is that which would become? You are coming backward. Therefore, you have to use this proposition. You got to use this proposition. Let me take Y only. Life is simple, right? Let me write it as Y only. Backward, come backward from Y towards the present. Come backward, Y towards the present. How do you write? Alright, now so the simple compound interest, the second one you are using. Alright, this is how you use. The second one is what you use. Right? Second one is what you use because you are coming backward. But you are coming backward because you are in the future. Future you are willing to pay Y. Present, what is that you are willing to pay? You use this. Therefore, you say that hey, present is Y divided by 1 plus 5% raised to power 1. Why 1? Because you traveled back by 1 year period. You traveled back by that gap which was 1 year. You are closing that gap of 1 year. Alright, therefore it becomes Y divided by 1 plus 5% raised to power 1. Okay, now what is this? Hey, here also you come back, man. What is the present value of this? You are saying that after 2 years I will pay you Y. If you are paying it today, what it should be. Alright, now therefore you say that this is Y divided by 1 plus 5% raised to power 2. Why 2? Because this gap is 2 years, right? So you were 2 years away. Already you are coming into the present 2 years. Now look at this. You are willing to pay Y1, which is nothing but this value is Y2. What is that present value? Everything can be equated into the present now. All can be equated into the present. You are now trying to say that look, 4100. Alright, therefore you are trying to say now, alright, you are trying to say 4100 is nothing but Y1 plus Y2. Alright, because the present values are y1 and y2. For this 4100 should be equivalent of y1 plus y2. Hey, what was this y1? Alright, what was this y1? Substitute. What was this y1? Substitute in terms of y. Therefore, you are saying 4100 is nothing but y divided by 1 plus 5%, 1 plus 5%, 1 plus 5. Well, let me write it one step for you. 1 plus 5% plus y divided by, what is y2 guys here? Y2, y divided by 1 plus 5% whole square. 1 plus 5% whole square. Fine. What is 1 plus 5%? We know the multiplier for 5%. 5% multiplier is 21 by 20. That is nothing but 1 plus 5%. When you write it, it becomes 21 by 20. Therefore, let's calculate this. Calculation perspective. You can use whichever the form that you want. There is no hard and fast rule. Y divided by 21 by 20. 21 by 20, then y divided by 21 by 20 whole square. Right, now this is what you have. Simple calculation from here. Therefore 4100 is nothing but 20y divided by 21. Then you have 400y divided by 21 square. 21 square. Multiply throughout by 21 square, friends. Multiply throughout by 21 square. You will get 21 square times of 4100. 00 is also nothing but 21 into 20, which is nothing but 421 into 20, right? That's nothing but 420y plus 400y plus 400y. All right, now together, this becomes 820y is also equal to 21 square times of 4100. Simplify this. Let's simplify this. This is 821 times. This is 5 times. 821 times, and that's 825 times. Therefore 21 square y value, therefore y is nothing but, therefore y is equal to 21 square times of 5, right, which is nothing but 441 into 5, which is 2 alright, 441. Or you are saying that y value is nothing but this 441 into 5. Therefore you are saying that 2205. 2205. See, look, alright, if you divide 4100 by 2, you are getting it as 20, already you are getting this as 2050, but your each installment is actually going to be 2205. That's what you got to pay. Of course, you will pay a little extra because you are delaying your payment by 1 and 2 years, right? Therefore, that's what you end up paying. That's an installment charge. Alright, that is what you are going to pay the installments there. I guess everybody got some idea about the installment. Alright, all of you might have got the idea about installment. Let's do one more. Let's do one more if you want. Let's do one more. That might help you to understand a little better. Let's do one more here. Let's try this. This is on SI installment. Alright, but the simple interest scheme. We did one on the compound interest scheme. Let's go back and revise that question once more. Let's do one more on the simple interest scheme. Basically, it is all the present value of the future money, etc. Read this question carefully, guys. Read this question carefully. We'll do this and then we'll close. We'll close with this question. Okay, yeah, you might have read this. So what is happening here? So this is due not now, 3 years. At the end of 3 years, this money is due. All right, now, so this is the beginning. This is the start of the cycle. This is the end of year one, end of year one. There is a end of year two, and there is a end of year three. End of year three. Now this amount, which is 128, call it 12800, is due 3 years hence, not today. It's not today. It's not that okay, the present. It's a future. All it now. So if you want to pay, you brought some money here called X. You brought some money here called X. But if you want to pay this X money at the end of 3 years, give me 1,28,000. Sorry, give me all 12,800 rupees. That is at the end of 3 years. But you decided no, I don't want to pay 12,800 at the end of 3 years. Rather, I will pay at the end of first year something, at the end of second year something, at the end of third year something. And that's what he went on to say. The first installment is half of the second installment. Okay, let's say year one, first installment is paid at the end of year one, end of the year two, end of year three. What you are trying to say? The first installment is half of the second installment. Let us say the first installment is X rupees. Or let's say Y rupees, no problem. First installment is Y rupees. Then the second installment is 2Y rupees, because it should be half of the second installment. Therefore, it is 2Y rupees. Similarly, he said that the second installment is 2/3 of the third installment. Second installment is 2Y. Therefore, the third installment is 3Y. That's how he decided to pay. What is that you are trying to say? At the end of the first year, this man is willing to pay Y rupees. At the end of second year, he is willing to pay 2Y rupees. At the end of third year, he is willing to pay 3Y rupees. That's how he wants to pay this money which is due after 3 years, which is 12,800. That's how he wants to pay. Great. This 3Y remains 3Y. There is no problem, because that's in the future, in the same point in time, year 3. But the point here is this 2Y, when it goes here, simple interest is the concept with 10% here, right? To 10% here. Hey, what does this become? This would become future, guys. Getting into the future. You are getting into the future. 2Y, therefore multiply 2Y 1 plus R%. 10%. How many times? Only one time. Why only one time? Because there is only 1 year gap. There is only 1 year gap. Year 2 to year 3. How far you are? You are just far by 1 year. Therefore, into 1. Good. Because simple interest is the scheme. Remember. Okay. What about this Y? What about this Y? This Y is Y times of 1 plus 10%. How many years? 2 years away. Because look at this gap. Year 1 to year 3. What is the gap you have? 2 years gap. Year 1 to year 2. From year 2 to year 3. 2 years gap. Therefore, you write this. Now, all of them now are in the same timeline. Same timeline. Therefore, you can equate them. All of them are in the same timeline. What do you mean here? All right. Therefore, you are trying to say 1 to 8. Therefore, you say 12800 is also equal to first component, which is 3Y. Second component, multiply this. So let's substitute this. I'll multiply this 1.1 into 2, which becomes 2.2y. That's the second component. This value, guys, this value is 2.2y, right? Yeah. Third component, here, now here, that is 1.2y. This is 1.2y. Therefore, you say that this is 1.2y. Simplify, you got the value of y there, because that's what the first installment is. First installment is y. You got your answer from there. Now, therefore, you will say that, okay, this is nothing but 6.4. Therefore, you say 12800 is 6.4y. Is nothing but 6.4y. Therefore, you got the value of y from here. How much is the each installment? You are getting the value of this, which is nothing but 2,000. You are saying that the first installment was 2,000 rupees. Right? That's the value of this. Y is nothing but 2,000. That's a required answer. Okay, all of you got some idea about the installment by now. Already you would have got that idea. So I covered all of them comprehensively. I did a complete drill on simple interest and some word-based problems. Although I did without the word, it more or less, already you can put the words around that. So I told you the method. That was a pretty simple one. I spent about 30-40 minutes on that in the beginning. Then I spent another 30-40 minutes on compound interest drills. Go through those drills. They were very, very important, the way I showed you various ways of dealing with them. That's on the compound interest. We did a couple of drills there. Then we talked about the relationship between simple interest and compound interest. That's another 30-40 minutes. We discussed about it. That's the difference between simple interest, compound interest for 2 years, or difference for 3 years. We spoke about that. We also looked at the approaches, how we should deal with them. Then I also spent about 15-20 minutes towards the end on the installment. Although I showed one example on simple interest, one simple interest scheme with installments, and one on the compound interest scheme on the installments. Right? That's nothing but that deals with the, what is that installment deals with? It deals with the component of present value and the future value concept. Right now, this is more about the background to the simple interest, compound interest chapter. So it doesn't end there. So you watched what I was doing already. You also would have worked a little bit alongside me, but you got to pull out some 30-40 odd questions, and then once you solve and you get that momentum of calculation and the way you approach them, you should be pretty good to go with this. One or two questions in your basket for sure with respect to this particular chapter, with respect to these 4 or 5 simple concepts involved here. Great going, though, great going. So I will stop here. So I will see you in my next lecture, in the next video. Bye till then, stay blessed.